Honk.
Always got to wait for that. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts, to a bonus stream. And I'm going to need everybody's help on checking audio because I cannot be very loud today. I am downstairs, and so I am more susceptible to noise coming through and being heard and all that stuff. So I have got my microphone turned up, I think almost at maximum, and I'm going to try to keep my voice a little bit quiet so as not to wake up the family. And the reason that I am downstairs today is because I have got a bonus stream for you with a little bit of this game, which is Journeys in Middle-earth. Yeah, I like the new intro as well, and it's Kilobyte who's responsible for it. Kale did a great job with it, and of course Chrono Wolf did the music for it. Chrono's actually working on a new album I just saw on Twitter, so we've got that going on with him, but he did the music for it. And of course Echo Alpha X5 helped Kilobyte with a lot of the clips and stuff like that, and Kilobyte did all the heavy lifting of putting it all together, so it was great stuff. Wow. Thank you very much to his Terma Nonstop. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. You guys literally subscribed within 5 seconds of each other. Wow, that was crazy. Why is that going off twice? Why is it going off twice? It shouldn't be going off twice. I don't know why it's going off twice. I think it just went off twice because I just put the new notifications thing on here. Yeah, I know you're getting some echo. I don't entirely know why that happened. I don't know why that happened. It shouldn't have happened because I don't want to show the current game thing yet. But it should only have gone off once. I don't know why that happened. Anyway, something weird happened. I think because you guys resub within 3 seconds of it, you less than that, like 0.01 seconds. So yeah, I don't know why that happened. Anyway, I appreciate it to both of you. Thank you so much to Isterma and to Nonstop. Nonstop with that tier 2, Isterma with a tier 1. It's possibly, oh wow, the two of you synchronized donating to the elderly. How about that? Listen, you know, Isterma, for a guy who's just received his blue quill, the coveted blue quill, you'd think that you wouldn't be talking smack about, you know, about this blue quill that you've just been gifted, the coveted, you know, the envied blue quill. You'd think you'd be a little bit, you know, more chill about that, given the quality, the caliber of that sort of thing. But anyway, no, but I'm very grateful to both of you. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. And that actually brings me to what I was going to say, which is I want to talk a little bit about ways to support the stream. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. Please check us out on my YouTube channel, !ArvTube, the Twitter, !ArvTweets. Please retweet this stream. The Discord, !ArvCord. And of course, we have got the website for all of that, which is arvineleron.com, which has the current schedule as well. And we have on top of that, of course, such notable things as the financial ways to support us, which is the shop, !Arv shop, with material from Terry Toons and Adventures of Middle-earth, which you'll see more of next week, with Infinity and Beyond Curse of Strahd, which you will see this weekend, and with the incredible and awesome Esper Genesis coming soon that we're going to have on there as well. Does a blue quill have any relation to Blue Censored? I do not know the reference, sir. Unless you're talking about the blue milk from The Last Jedi, which would be troubling. Unless, you know, I happen to notice that your name is also blue, kind of teal, actually, is term of it. Blue velvet, yes. But anyway, so that's the way to support us that way. The Patreon is !Arvtreon. Cool stuff for you, cool stuff for the channel. You can get inspirations to support the players in our various D&D campaigns throughout the course of the month and so on. So that is always a big help. Plus, you can get things for you as well, so please consider that. And last but certainly not least is that sub button. We are now sitting, I think, at about 81, 82 subs, something like that. So we're making good progress on that. So anything you can do to support us there would be much appreciated. Hey, Mrs. Dunsel, what's going on? Hello, welcome. Oh, I see. No, it does not have any relationship to that. Yes, now I understand. I understand now the violence inherent in the system. Yes, no, it is not related to that. But that's how you know. Okay, so the good news, so that's working, but I don't know why it's echoing like that. I don't know why that's doing that weird echoing thing. That's really Oh, I bet I know. Yes, I think I do know, actually. Okay, give me a second. I will fix that. I know why it's doing that. It is doing... Well, maybe I know why it's doing that. Yes, I do. I think I know why it's doing that. So let me remove some stuff quickly. I just moved things over in terms of, I think, in terms of, yeah, in terms of notifications and the like. So I think what it was doing is it was picking it up in both my host, my old Muxy ones, which is basically deprecated. I'm not doing Muxy anymore. I'm doing Streamlabs notifications. And I think it's probably picking it up in both. So in either case, I am very appreciative, whether it's in one or in both, that you did that, Mrs. Dunsel. Thank you so much for the resub. And I hope all is well with you. Thank you so, so much. Yeah, let me just fix that. Hopefully now I will have that addressed, because I have, yeah, okay, good. Because I got most of these things moved over, but I'm doing this again. The reason that I'm doing this is I'm on my laptop. So some of the stuff I don't have over here yet, and over time I will get everything on there that I'm supposed to have. But anyway, so there we go. Lovely. Okay, I think that's probably better, but anyway, we will continue to press on. So what I got up for you today, folks, and let me actually turn on my webcam. Let me get rid of this, and let me get rid of this, and let me turn on, where'd we go? Let me turn on that. There we go. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. So yeah, so you will see that I am in a very different position, and actually I think that light's too bright. Hold on. Okay. Okay. I'm hoping that's a little bit better without the huge like halo glare effect on my back. So the reason that I'm coming to you like this, and I'm doing this way, is because I'm about to show you what we're going to do this way. And the way that I decided to set this up, they want me to give JTB back. What's up, Rob? How you doing, man? What a tink, shame. I know that's my lamp that does that, because little chains that come out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be moving this over to my current game here, like that. So what I have here is a separate webcam that is hooked up, and right now this is focused on the phone app right here, but I am actually using it to go to Chromecast. And you can see that I've got it basically Chromecasting on my TV so that I can actually see it more clearly. And you folks can see this down here. And I wanted to do this in part because this way I can actually show you a little bit of what the board looks like. Because this game is super cool. So for those of you who don't know what this is, I talked a little bit about this game. I got this for Christmas, and this was Journeys in Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings. I've been thinking about this game for a while because, first of all, it's Lord of the Rings, but secondly, because it's an adventure board game, so you've got adventures that you're exploring, and it's app-driven, which means that there are pieces and miniatures and all that stuff in here, but there's also a free companion app, which you can get on the phone, which you can get on laptop, which you can get on, which is Steam-based, I believe, and which you can get on your tablet as well. And it's also available on iPhone and Android and all that kind of stuff. And that means that it keeps track of a lot of stuff for you, and it brings you through the adventure. So it essentially functions like the DM or the GM, basically, which I think is pretty cool. And I thought was cool, and it is very much as cool as I thought it was. Like, it's super neat. And so I've been having a really, really good time playing through it. And I'm like, you know what? I wanted to play this tonight. So why don't I do a little bit of a bonus stream and bring you sort of all into the mix about what this actually is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my water over there. And first of all, let me just mention, like, huge box. That's how you know you got something good, when you got the huge box going on, right? And like, okay, so we've got that, and I will show you all the sort of, it's not exactly a real unboxing, but so we've got the battle map, and we're actually going to be using this battle map today. So we've got battle map number 1, battle map number 2. These are only the templates where you put the pieces on, and you only use the battle maps for certain adventures. Most of this you actually use the journey map, and I'll show you where that is. So okay, instructions, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so mostly, so you can see you've got lots of little pieces and doodads and stuff, which I'll show you, but most of the time, the adventure, I would say probably, I've done 7 adventures so far, and 5 of them have been using these pieces. So these various pieces. Golem Arcana. I remember Golem Arcana. Yeah, absolutely. I remember seeing that demo to Gen Con, actually. This is nuts. So really, really cool, like little pieces here that are two-sided. And there's lots of them in here. And some of them are very small, and some of them are very sizable. And some of them also have on the back of them, depending on what they are, cave settings like this, for example. So you got land on the front here, then you've got cave stuff that's set on the back. And all of these can be slotted together in various ways. And they're slotted together using the app. So the app is the thing that basically tells you, okay, put this together with this and all that sort of stuff. Plus you've got other things, and we're going to be using that here. We've got walls, rivers. You've got obstacles like bushes, boulders, doors, fire pits, you know, things like that. You've got, I think that's a pit. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what the hell that is. I haven't had to use this thing yet. And it's all controlled by the app. And the reason the box is so large is because you're going to need that for when, please don't do that, phone. You're going to need that for when you do stuff like get expansions and things like that. So for instance, with the game, you get different little pieces that come out with the expansions. Most of it's handled through the app, but there are expansion pieces that you can get as a part of, for instance, put that right there, as a part of, for instance, all of these miniatures. Now, the miniatures are pretty sweet, right? So like, you've got, get out of here. So you've got the Hungry Warg. Focus camera. There we go. So you got the Hungry Warg. You've got Orc Marauders. There we go. Orc Marauder, right? You've got this dude, who I have seen on the board but have not had to fight yet, this Hill Troll. And all of these, of course, can be painted if you want to do that. You got this guy, who's a simple ruffian. This is what Rob looks like when he's really mad at Bloodborne. He just has the expression of that guy. See? That's Rob. Rob is very, when Rob, you know, Bloodborne, Rob's very upset. This is what he looks like. He's just, you know, that's the way it be. So anyway, pieces like this. And there are different pieces that you can get that come with different adventures. So there is an expansion, which I haven't got yet because I'm not through the main campaign, called The Search for the Ember Crown, which has a couple of extra pieces that you can get. And the expansions are like, I think they're like $6 or something like that as for the app part of it. I'm sorry, there's an app, so I should rephrase. The app itself is free, but when you get the expansion, you can pay $6 to get the additional apps that will play with the pieces that you already have. And then in addition to that, they will have expansions that you can get, which will have their own boards and pieces and miniatures and stuff like that, but they will be included with, that will have a free app that's associated with it. So in other words, with the pieces that I already have, I could get this Ember Crown thing for like $6, and then I can play through with the pieces I already have, that new scenario, that new adventure. And then down the line, when I get expansions, those expansions will have new pieces, and then the app that's for those will be free, and that'll be slotted into the currently existing app. So it's pretty cool, and you get a lot of pieces you can see, like early on here. And then you've got my guys, and I am playing, when you play solo, which is what I'm doing, you play with 2 characters. And so I am playing with 2 characters. And the characters are my boy Aragorn. Of course, right? Like, I mean, how can... Why is this not working? There we go. My boy Aragorn. There we go. And the cool thing about Aragorn, he's got, and I'll explain the different roles and stuff like that as well. But so there's Aragorn there. And you can see on the back it has a description of him. Whenever this wants to focus. Come on, focus camera. There we go. Dunedain the North were nearly destroyed, although their number is few. They continue to watch and guard the lands that were once their kingdom. At their head is their chieftain, Aragorn, descendant of Isildur, a man destined for greatness. The prophecies and lineage serve him little in this time, however. Bloodlines cannot stop a foe's blade. Songs of future glory do not feed one's people. Through years of peace and prosperity may come. There are no such years. Now is a time of trials, hardship. These are no such years. Now is a time of trials, hardship, and survival. New dangers threaten the North in ever greater number, and darker years are yet to come. And then it gives you starting gear, and you can kind of build up your starting gear and stuff over time. And the thing that he's really good at is the statistics over here are probably what you would expect if you know anything about the character. So he's fairly strong. That's used in combat, melee combat in particular. So that's 3 might. His wisdom, because of his knowledge, is very great. 4 is, I think, the top wisdom that you can have, at least that I've found so far. His agility is okay, but it's probably not incredibly, elaborate. Like, he's not going to be doing somersaults across the field anytime soon. And that is 2 agility. His spirit is also decent, but not amazing, and that's 2 spirit. Spirit is like, if your will is going to fade, right? If like evil is overcoming you or something like that, that's what that can do. And then last is his wit, his intelligence, and his wit is better than average. Please, phone, stop shutting off when I haven't touched you. Oh, God. So when his wit is a 3, there we go. His wit is a 3. And the scout part, I will explain, he gets the benefit of scouting additional cards, which is super useful in this game, because scouting is how you actually control your deck. You have your own little deck of cards, which expands over the course of the campaign, and so being able to scout and sort of see which cards are up top and which are on the bottom is really useful. And then we've got the fear and damage. You can take both damage and fear. If you ever get to the equal of damage and fear that's on this card, then you have to do what's called a last stand. And if you fail the last stand test, your hero is dead and you fail the scenario. I have not had that happen to me yet, although I've been very close. I've had to do a couple of last stands and I've passed them on the both times that I had to do them, but I've been very close so far. And then last, this one right here is inspiration, just like our inspiration that we get in a way, except inspiration allows you to trigger various skills and abilities, and I can have a maximum of 4 on this card. So Aragorn is a very good all-around character, and that's why I chose him, that and the fact that he's my favorite character. So there is our boy Aragorn. Okay. And Aragorn has got, Aragorn has got his credentials right now. And his credentials are as follows. So, he is 2 things. First of all, he is a captain. And I'll talk about those roles in a minute. Actually, let me show you the things that he's got first. So, he starts with some basic garb, but since I've played a number of scenarios in this game already, these scenarios have actually leveled up. So when this first started, this card was a banner. It is now a Dunedain banner. When it was just a banner, it meant that when a nearby hero or you guards or rests, that hero gains 1 inspiration. And as I said, inspiration is really valuable. Guarding basically means you're protecting someone else from taking damage. I think you can also guard yourself, actually. And then resting means that you have a special card which lets you take some damage or fear that you've gotten and remove it from your card. And so when you get either of those 2, or you hide, which is a special condition you can sometimes get in the game, you get an inspiration for having this banner. And so when I first got it, this one was only, I think, if you guard, and now it's guard or rest or hide. So it's improved because I got experience, basically. So there's that. The second item I have is a sword, because, of course, the Númenórean sword. Again, this started as a regular sword, but the Númenórean sword looks like this, and the thing up there sort of talks about these successes. And the cool thing about this is that when you defeat an enemy group, you discard a damage or fear. So like you're so inspired by what you did in defeating those heroes that you'll actually lose a fear or damage, which is pretty cool. And those little asterisks up there are successes, and I'll talk about the successes when we get farther on. And then the last thing was this thing called Westmarch Garb. Now, when I first got this, it was just Travel Garb. And what Travel Garb did is it increases my damage limit by 1. Now, because it's West March Garb, I have increased my damage and my fear limit by 1. So remember I showed you that thing on the card, and it says if you get to that number on the card, then you have to do a last stand. This one increases that number, so instead of 5 and 5, I have 6 fear and 6 damage that I can take before I have to do a last stand. And before I suffer damage, I can prevent one of that damage because I'm wearing this. So again, this is pretty cool. And it used to be just a regular garb, and now it is expanded. And then the last thing I got, which was this super special thing, which I got as part of this quest, this adventure series, is called the Silent Scepter. And this was actually the reward for one of the adventures that I completed. And the Silent Scepter gives you a couple things. First of all, you have the elf, dwarf, and hobbit traits. So that means right now I am obviously a human, but because I have this, I'm basically considered to be a friend to the elves, dwarves, and hobbits. And there are different things in the game that says if you are an elf, or if you are a dwarf, or if you are a hobbit, you get this, this, or this. So my having all these traits is a real benefit. Plus, as you can see, when you interact with people, you can deplete this item, I'll explain that in a second, to get inspiration and to discard a fear. Now the deplete is right there. You get 4 tokens to start with, and every time you deplete the item, you lose one of those tokens. When they're all gone, you flip it over, and you can't use it again until the next scenario. So that is this. So that is Aragorn. So we'll put his cards over here, and I'll talk more about those in a minute. And then my other one is your boy Gimli. There you go. Whoop, okay. Yeah, your boy Gimli. Gimli the dwarf. So, as you might expect, Gimli is very strong. So he's got Might 4, which again is the top thing that you can get for Might. His Wisdom is okay, hence 2. His Agility is 2, although he has armor that he wears, which reduces that Agility to 1. And the one weakness in this team of players has been the Agility. Because there have been times where I've had to pass Agility tests, and Gimli is not what you would define as agile. So, but he's very, very spiritual as well. He has basically a lot of strength of will, and he won't give up easily. So that's another big, powerful trait. And then wit is average. So basically he has average wisdom, agility, and wit, and then really good might and spirit. And because of his armor, his agility is below average. So it's not a 2. Because of his armor, it's actually a 1. And then his big thing, like the animation studio, not quite is Termin, not quite. And then after you attack, you may place a card from the test on top of your deck. That will make more sense later. He has only 4 fear that he can get, as opposed to Aragorn, who has 5, plus the 1 from his armor, which means 6. So Aragorn can take 6 fear. Gimli can only take 4, but he can take 6 damage natively, like before any armor gets applied. So he's pretty buff, basically. And then the last thing is this one right here. He has inspiration. He can only have up to 3, whereas Aragorn can have up to 4. So that's him. And as far as his cards are concerned, he has got 3 items as well. Actually, I guess Aragorn has 4. He's got 3. And his items are, not those. Those are not your items. Okay. His items are... Okay. These are your items. All right, so here we go. His items are as follows. First of all, he has a battle axe. I mean, if you know Gimli, you know he's got to have a battle axe, right? So he's got a battle axe, but this is the Iron Hills battle axe, which is pretty awesome. Basically what this does is this is just like really powerful. It means that if you get a couple of successes, you could theoretically on a turn do 11 hits. And the most powerful thing that I've fought so far had like 8 health plus like 3 armor or something. So basically, if he got 4 successes, he would essentially defeat that guy and he would one-shot him, basically. His original battle axe was not nearly as strong, so this thing is definitely upped. So, Duncan Hill's coffee. Duncan Hills. Okay, now we've got this stuff. This thing, the ring mail, so I still don't know what I think about this ring mail. So it decreases my agility. This is the thing that means that I only have agility of 1. But it increases my fear by 1. So instead of having 4 fear that I can take before I have to do a last stand, I have 5. But the other thing that it does is if there is a attack that asks you to test wisdom, spirit, or wit, you can test might instead. And that's really useful because wisdom I only have a 2, spirit I only have, rather, wit I only have a 2. So for those two, I would much rather test might where I have a 4 because I have a better chance of actually passing that test. So it's useful for that reason. It's just the agility is so bad that I keep going back and forth about whether or not this is really good or not. But anyway, I've kept it on him for right now. And then his last item, which he just got in the last couple one, is this thing called the Tome of Battle, which means when you scout, test your might, exactly. When you scout, and I'll talk about scouting later, you may deplete this item to reveal 2 additional cards. If you do, and there is an enemy in your space, you gain an inspiration. So it's like you're like going through the Tome of Battle to get ready for a fight. Gimli is a badass in combat. Like, he is straight up a badass. And that's partially because of the roles that he plays. Okay. Now, the real sort of genius of this game in a lot of ways. What's up, Rhiannon? No, not the Witness Protection House. I'm streaming from downstairs in my own home, but I'm doing it so that I can have the table to be able to show you. So the way that this works basically is this is your deck of cards, and your deck of cards have different abilities on them, and every turn you reshuffle and reset this deck, and so and start again. And you use this deck for 2 purposes. One purpose is to do what it says on the card directly, where you prepare a skill. So I'll give you an example. At the beginning, you can actually go through and scout, and when you scout, you get to prepare a skill for use. And when you prepare a skill, it means, come on, focus, camera. Come on. You can do it. There we go. There we go. So when you prepare a skill, what that means is that it is now usable for you, and you get to use those things that you see at the bottom of the card. The first one is when you attack someone, you can discard this card to add 3 hits, which is, extra damage basically to the person. Or you can use this to guard yourself or another person from taking damage or fear. So that's pretty powerful, and that's a pretty useful skill to have prepared. However, the other side of this card is this thing right here. This little symbol, this asterisk symbol, is a success symbol. And when you test, you draw a certain number of cards based on the stat they're asking you to test. So let's say they asked Aragorn to test might. He has 3. So I would draw 3 cards from my deck, and I add up how many of these things I have. This is a success, and these successes are very, very valuable. So when I'm deciding whether to take a card or not, I have to decide, do I want to take this and prepare it so I can use this bottom text, or do I want to leave it in the deck so that I have a better chance of getting a success on a test? So these are kind of some of the balancing acts you have to do. So that's one kind of card you can get. The other kind of card you can get has this on it, and this is the inspiration symbol. There we go, the inspiration symbol that you can see. And the way the inspirations work is you can actually spend inspiration that is on your card that you've gotten from defeating enemies, from doing various adventure things and whatever, and you can use them to trigger this. Every inspiration that you use with one of these cards makes this card into a success. So inspiration is very valuable, but you can see why having a success is valuable, because obviously if I use a success on that other card, I don't have to use an inspiration. To make this be a success, I'd have to spend an inspiration on it. And when you're trying to pass a test, they give you a number to pass. They say, pass like 3. And so I would need to draw, in the case of might, 3 cards, and I need to have 3 successes. If I get 2 successes, that's a fail, and that means that the consequences of failure will happen at that point. So this is my own deck, which is combined of cards that I've gathered over, basically the course of the adventure. And the 2 sets of cards that are the main part of it, I have certain titles that I won because of the adventure, but I also start with having 2 different kinds of cards. One of them is a Pathfinder. When is the D&D going to start this game? In just a moment nonstop. I'm just explaining a little bit of the basics here. So one of them is this Pathfinder card. Pathfinder cards are really useful because they let you move faster in the game, because in a given turn, you can only take 2 actions, and each action, if you do a move action, you can only move 2 spaces. Oh, when is the D&D crew going to start this game? It's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to talk, if I could get people over here to play it, it would be awesome. But anyway, so Pathfinders are able to cross through the land much faster than a lot of other characters are. So that's what a Pathfinder is able to do, and that's very valuable because you've always got this in the background ticking clock, which is a threat meter. As threat goes up, bad things happen, and if the threat meter goes too high, you lose the scenario. So you can't just dawdle. You gotta move through it, and so the Pathfinder really helps you to do that. The other role that he has is as a captain, and the captain basically inspires other people. So, for example, this captain, A Wind Among Grass, this one allows you to, let me show you the card. This one allows you to move into a space, and then you can discard the skill to attack, and then may move one space without provoking attacks. So you basically go into a space, attack someone, get out of the car, get out of the space, and they don't have a chance to attack you back. And that's the benefit of this particular card, the Captain card. It also allows you to sprint 2. What's up, Firesnake? Yeah, it really is cool, man. This also allows you to sprint 2. Sprint 2 means that you can move 2 spaces without using an action. So it's basically free movement, which is very, very useful. So, yeah, Wind Among Grass. So he's a captain. He's basically a dual class. He's a captain and a pathfinder. Those are his 2 classes. And so that makes up his deck. Gimli is a guardian and a hunter. The guardian is what allows him to do like amazing, he basically tank it up. So this, for example, is his top card. When a hero tests to negate damage or fear, they may spend 1 inspiration to convert 1 inspiration to 2 successes. So remember I showed you those cards? Instead of using 1 inspiration for one of those leaves, every inspiration you spend when you have this card counts as 2 successes instead of 1. So you use a lot less inspiration. Or you can discard it to do that guard thing, which again lets you keep you or another player next to you, another hero next to you, from taking 2 damage or fear. So this is a really powerful guardian card. His other ability is he is a hunter. And hunters are basically just DPS, essentially. Like, hunters are really, really pretty badass. The top hunter card, let me see if I can find it. The top hunter card that I have is, where are you? Ah, yes. On the Hunt, which is once per, come on, focus. Once per turn, before you or a nearby hero attacks, that hero gains 1 inspiration. So before any hero attacks, when you have this prepared, you just get an inspiration automatically. That's pretty awesome. So again, that's what a hunter is. So hunter is damage, guardian is tanky defense, captain is inspiration for you and others, and pathfinder allows you to move fast. And there are other roles too, including burglar, which lets you kind of solo characters. Musician lets you buff your fellow players. So it's pretty cool. And it plays just as well solo. In fact, I've only played it solo so far, as you do with other players. Okay, and last but certainly not least, and then we're going to set up the actual adventure, are my characters. Now, this one's fun. Okay, so this one is Gimli. So here's our boy Gimli. Focus camera. There we go. There's our boy Gimli. Yeah, he is ready for action. Okay, so he looks awesome, right? But when I first opened the box, this is how Aragorn looked. So apparently Aragorn in this universe is Aragorn the One-Armed. I mean, so I have a support ticket into Fantasy Flight because I'm like, I'm pretty sure from my knowledge of Aragorn that he is not one-armed. I'm pretty sure I missed that part of the Tolkien lore mythos, that he is definitely one-armed. Come on, camera, focus. Focus. Yeah, I was just, there we go. I was kind of like, I'm like, he looks badass, but he really does not have 1 arm. So anyway, but that's the guy that's there. Okay. And then you have other characters. You have, in case anyone's curious, you also have in here, you got Bilbo. You've got Legolas, of course. You've got I think this is Barivore, who I don't know about who that is. Actually, I don't remember specifics about that. And then one other one. Come on, Barivore. There's Barivore. Like that. And then this, and I don't remember who this is. But yeah. Hey, what's up, Varney? So there we go. Okay. But none of those we're going to use today because we got Aragorn and Gimli that we're using. All right, so now we get into the sort of meat and potatoes of this. And that is, I'm going to set up my decks. Now, most of this I don't have to do anything with because I've already set up everything that I've shown you. But I do have one thing that I have to set up here, and that is... It sure does. Yeah, it sure does, Firesnake. In fact, I was showing before that a lot of what the app does is you have these little pieces that the app controls and that it puts together. And it randomizes it sort of, except it has a certain set of tiles that it can use for a given map based upon the scenario. So like you've got things like this that the app sets up, and I'll show you this when we actually get into it. And on the other side, you've got sometimes like mountainous terrain like that. Or you've got cave stuff like this, and each one of them has different scenarios. And there's tons of there's like, I don't know, it must be 50 pieces at least of these in the one. So yeah, and the app for Descent is one of the things that really interested me about this app because I thought it was a pretty neat idea actually to work it together. Okay, so we've got damage. One-armed, one-horned giant purple hobbit eater. Very nice. You have disarmed him. I like both of them, Ms. Derma. I think it depends on when you use those. Yeah, they really do. They really do. I agree. So these are the damage. Now, the interesting thing about these is that, so when you take damage, you literally just take, there's no dice in this game at all cards. So you just take, damage from the deck. But if you're ever asked to flip over a damage, that's really bad because flipping over damage is much worse than generic damage. You can see there, fever, discard one inspiration, then flip this card face down. So when you take this, it means you lose an inspiration, and then you flip it down to just sort of regular damage. So, yeah, so basically you do not want damage. Like, you don't want face-up damage. You just don't. And then there's also fear, and you've got face-up fear as well, so the same drill. Okay. Now, the only thing I have to do in preparing before the game even starts is I'm going to take one of these cards, and these are all weakness cards. These are basically useless cards, and they just bloat your deck. So, Burdened. Also, I really like the art on these cards. Burdened. Haunted. Or rather, Hunted. I'm sorry. Not Haunted. Slowed. Right? Followed, our boy Gollum, right? And all of these are useless. And so the reason they're bad is that they basically take away, they use up a spot in your deck that would be better used for a good card. So you have to add a weakness at the beginning into each one of the decks that you're using. So I'm going to add one into Aragorn's deck and one into Gimli's deck. Okay, so one into Aragorn. One to Gimli. We're going to put this up here. And then we're going to shuffle them together, but not before we prepare one skill. I totally agree, Varna. Yeah, it's so many good board games out there. So now I get, because my role for this adventure is going to be actually, now we can actually start the adventure and you'll be able to hear this. So let me fire up the music. Okay, can you hear that? You guys hear that? You hear that? It should be quiet, but you should be able to hear it. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I can't put it up loud because I'm down here and the family's asleep, so I have to be careful about that. But So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring you in to the app. Okay. So with the app, so here's the app. So we are going to click load game. All right, and this is the one that I'm on, Chapter 8, The Hero's Journey with Gimli and Aragorn. We're going to resume. There we go. So the Gates of Annúminas. Now, without explaining everything that happened, also because I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but without explaining everything that happened, the short version is that I was asked to come to the aid of a particular person who wanted to find out about some of the movement of the enemy. And then basically all hell broke loose. And it turned out that there's this dude whose name is Atien, who's looking for this scepter, which I happen to have gotten, and is now looking to basically attack these good villages and people nearby, and nobody really knows why or who he is. And so far, I've managed to get the scepter and get to this place where I can try to warn the people. But to really find the details of that, I need to go into this crypt of some kind. Yeah, different story, very different story, nonstop, called the Gates of Annúminas. So when I click on this, eventually, oh, sorry, I just clicked the big continue button. That's advanced right there. Okay, there we go. So it says, I'm on focus. There we go. The ruined city of Annúminas lies before you. Once the High King of Arnor ruled from the city, but it has lain abandoned for more than 1,000 years. Adoran seeks an artifact within its walls, something you must find before his minions do. Before you can begin your search, however, you will need to find a way into the city, a task you would not normally fear, but for Halbarad, which was a ranger that we met earlier. Warnings of dead things lingering outside the ruin. The next adventure will be a battle map. Now, what a battle map is instead of using those other pieces, the battle maps are these. They look like that, and there's two of them. So they look a little bit different, and we'll talk about that when we actually get there. So now that I've found out that that's what we're going to be using, we continue. Okay, so now we're in the camp, and there's a couple things I want to point out here. The first is that right here you can see we've got lore. Come on, focus, you can do it. Come on, camera. There we go. Lore and items. So when you click on items, you can see the items that each hero currently possesses. And what I didn't realize was, as you gain lore, you basically gain the ability to level up your items. But what I didn't realize, sorry, I'm trying to, for some reason this is not, okay. Okay, it sounds good. See you, Crit Twitch. Thanks for stopping by. So the cool thing about this is when you get lore, you can level up your items. But what I thought it was at first is that you could have to you choose an item to level up. That's not the case. You actually never lose lore. When you get lore, you can all of your items level up if you have enough of a high enough number to do so. So with 47 lore, I was able to level up my items to West March, Númenórean Sword, Dunedain Banner, Evanim Ringmail, and Iron Hills Battle Axe, which is really cool because it meant that all of it was sort of getting leveled up, which I thought was really sweet. That's the items. But there's also your individual experience. And so this is Aragorn's current skills that he possesses. And you'll notice that he has three sort of lines. The first is Captain, right? So I showed you that already. He has these things down here. You can see that he has a Wind Among Grass, but he has different skills that cost different amounts of XP. Here's the cool part of this, though. So this thing says a Wind Among Grass, right? I could click on that, and if I did, that experience is refunded to me, and I could then buy any combination of captain skills that adds up to 12. So I could, if I wanted to say, okay, I want to do Master Tactician, or I want to do, you know, basically Word of Triumph, Stand Together, and a Fey Mood, or I want to do Inspiring Presence of Word of Triumph. So I could do whatever. And you can change that out in between adventures. Now, I want to keep Wind Among Grass for now, but I could switch it if I wanted to. And then Pathfinder, and all of that card, so that green card is in my deck. Then Pathfinder has these current abilities. And right now, because I have actually played more as Pathfinder than as Captain, I have more experience as a Pathfinder. So every time you play an adventure as a role, you get experience in that role. And I've played more as Pathfinder than as Captain. So that's why I have more experience. So now I have 2 cards within here. Word of Warning, which is that one down there. And I also have enough for the Word of Warning, which is 3. Once I go through this, if I get experience, I could then buy other cards from here if I wished. And then last is Titles. And these are just things that you earn. So I have so far, because I defeated this big orc dude, I'm a nemesis. Because I have like sought out secrets or something, I'm a Mistwalker. I managed to talk to some dude and get back his cart for him, and so I'm a dwarf friend. And then I stood up in the storm and like resisted it, and so I'm a Gale Rock, basically. So those are the titles Aragorn has. And again, these are all cards. And then we have Gimli, who's a guardian. He has 2 of those, Word of Glory and Defense Instruction. And he has Hunter, and he has On the Hunt. What? Come on, focus. There we go. Okay. And then last, Titles. And he has 2 titles. He is a Luck Wearer, so he's able to get, basically, do a test again if it doesn't work out, basically. And then Coneyfoot, which allows him to basically run to where his friend is, where Aragorn is on the map, based upon titles that you got. So basically you have those 2. Okay, so we've got that. That's all set. I'm now ready, so we continue. Now they're going to ask about the roles that we want to change. Now you can switch roles to anything you want, and then when you switch, you get the basic cards in that group. Come on, focus. You get the basic cards in that group, and that gets added to your deck overall. So right now I have Aragorn as a Pathfinder and Gimli as a Hunter, and I want to keep that, actually. So I'm going to make Aragorn as a Pathfinder, and that means that I need to find... in here my Pathfinder skill and prepare it. So, Pathfinder 1. There we go. That is this one. Pathfinder 1. Before you sprint, you gain an inspiration, and you can use this card, discard it, to sprint as well. They're small cards. They're small cards. I mean, both. I have decent-sized hands, but they're also small cards. I wish they would use big cards, but I understand there's a lot of... This game takes a lot of room, so I think that's part of it. So, gets prepared. So I'm going to put this down here. Right here. Okay, so I now have that skill prepared. And you can only have 4 skills prepared at one time. Okay. And then I'm going to shuffle these together. Because it also makes it, like, the way that I like to shuffle is, what I would like to do is to shuffle like this. Kind of ruffle them together, but it's really hard to do that with little cards. So, Sprint 1 looks like a Magic the Gathering skill. Yeah, Sprint is really useful in this game because it basically gives you free movement, so you don't have to use up one of your actions to move, which is very valuable. Also, I just realized that I can up my output. So give me 1 second. Yeah, I can do better than that. There we go. Okay. So, my mother used to do this kind of shuffling where you do this thing. Like you kind of do like this, and I never understood how she was able to do that. Like I do that, and all my cards just fall out of my hand. I'm just like, what? How is that possible? And she was really good at it. She could shuffle really quickly that way. Yeah, I'm good at the riffle shuffle, but I just don't. The riffle shuffle I'm good at, but I need regular sized cards to really do it well. That's the way you do it. It's faster. Yeah. Okay, let me put that there. So that's the deck for this round. And then we have our boy Gimli, who's over here. In fact, I'm going to move this so you guys can see a little more clearly. And there's the skill. We're going to move Gimli over there. like that. Okay. And now we've got Gimli. Hey, what's up, size 16s? Is that true? It's faster. Oh, so what you're saying is that Dragon does it because it's also easier to cheat. Is that what you're saying? I just want to be clear. Yes, that is a problem. You have to be careful about how you do it. It's true. You can probably, I mean, I am worried about damaging these cards. And a lot of people are like, sleeve. I hate shuffling sleeved cards, for one thing. Secondly, it's expensive and a pain in the butt to shuffle and to sleeve all these cards. And thirdly, the one box that the thing that this does not have doesn't do a good job on is storage. The storage in this game is lousy. It's basically just a big open space. So they have things out there that are like inserts that you can buy, which I'm thinking I may get. The problem is that this game is expensive. Like, I'm pretty sure this game is about 80 bucks. And the like insert is like another 40 or something. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know about spending another $40 or whatever just on an insert. So, you know, we'll see. You can riffle shuffle them safely as long as you're careful about not overbending them. But when you, especially when you have cards like this that are so small to begin with, that's a problem. Because, oh, and I just realized I never took out his main card. Damn it. He's a hunter is his main role. So I need Hunter 1. Hunter. Also, I have to say that I have not found any typos on any of the cards. The only problem that I had is that whole thing with the one-armed bandit there. Oh, God, stop doing that, phone. Is the one-armed bandit thing. That was the only problem with that. Don't fail me now, Stand. Okay. All right, now, so one good thing about this is, so I prepared this, and so it very clearly says in the text of the card, after you prepared this spell, gain an inspiration, and at the end of your turn, you may discard this skill. Oh, yeah, no, Twilight Imperium, but that's a huge box, though, my God. You may discard this skill to gain 1 inspiration or scout 1. Both of those are really useful. So I prepare this, and that means I immediately get an inspiration. And the one thing I have not set up yet is this. Now, normally I would split these into different sort of like pools, but to save time, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put them all out here. So, first of all, depletion tokens. So these are the things that go on the little items that I have. So the scepter takes 4 of them. And my Tome of Battle takes 3. And I just got an inspiration for Gimli because of the preparation of that skill. So there's one of these inspirations, and we're going to put that on his card. So I have one of these now to spend. Okay, and now we're ready. So embark. All right. After crossing the Brandywine, you make your way to Anuminus. Your journey is fraught with near encounters with Adoran's orc scouts, and in avoiding them, you gain a better sense of the size of his host. Fortunately, the small size of your party means you can travel much more quickly than an army of orcs, and you should arrive at Anuminus in advance of the orcs. Place battle maps as indicated. Okay, so let's move this around. So we've got 2 things. So let's put these down off the table. I don't even know what is that game, Firesnake? I haven't even heard of that. Okay, so let's move that down there. Okay, so we're gonna put. Let's see. So we've got. Let's see. We've got this like that. Thank you, Orb Weaver, for the resub, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Orb Weaver. I appreciate it. Good to see you, man. Hope all is well. Thank you so much for the resub. Much appreciated. Okay, here we go. So there we go. So now we've got the battle map set up. Like so. Okay. In fact, let me see if I can even do this. Try moving this over a bit. Try to be real careful with my water over here. Okay. Okay. You follow what remains of the great road to Anuminus's gates. The sun sets as you come within sight of the walls, and by the time you have reached the gates, securely shut with rusting iron, night is well advanced. You attempt to force open the gates, but they are as impenetrable as they must have been 1,000 years ago. Finding a way through the gates is a task best suited to daylight hours, so you settle down to get what sleep you can. Okay. Okay, so now it shows you what to do. So you're going to place the following terrain 4 walls. So 4 walls. So let's take a look. Let's get our terrain. All right, so we got a wall, right? And it told us to place one up there. So we're going to put that one like that. In fact, I'll show you guys this while I can actually do this by just showing you as I set it up. Thanks, wire. Okay. Right. Okay, let's see. Second wall goes down here. Third wall is supposed to go back here. And the fourth wall, which we're going to break, haha, is going to go up there. Okay. All right. So much for that. Now what? All right. Place the following terrain. 2 bushes and 1 fire pit. All right. 2 bushes and 1 fire pit. Now, the bushes actually have, both the bushes and the fire pit have sort of interesting effects. I'm going to put the, okay, so I'm going to put the, God damn it, come on, camera, stop being a pain. The bushes are indeed bushy. Okay, we're going to put a bush there. We're going to put a fire pit right here. And we're going to put, oh! And we're going to put another bush right up here. So the cool thing about bushes and fire pits is... Hey, what's up, Polar? Howdy, howdy, Polar. Good to see you, man. Polar, Happy New Year. I sent you a Patreon message, by the way. I don't know whether you would have seen it, but I wanted to mention that I had, in fact, sent you a message. Just in case. How you doing, man? Okay, so here is the bush. So okay, so you can see during the action phase, if a hero ends their turn in a space with a bush token, that hero may perform a wit test. If the test produces at least 2 success icons, remember I told you about those asterisks in the cards, the hero passes the test and becomes hidden. And being hidden helps you when you fight or are attacked by an enemy. If a test produces fewer than 2 success icons, the hero fails the test and nothing happens. Performing the test is not an action. What's up, Echo? Good to see you, man. And if there are multiple bush tokens, you can perform a wit test once for each bush token in that space. So we have 2 bushes on the board, one here and one here. So that's useful. And then we've got a fire pit. And the fire pit says... Here we go. Here's the fire pit. Oh, no problem. No, that's totally cool, man. No problem. I didn't know because sometimes they're not good about letting people know. How is work been? How are you feeling about work, etc.? A fire pit is a type of terrain, blah, blah, blah. Okay, when resolving attack, if a hero is in a space with a fire pit token, that hero can discard 1 card that has a fate icon that was revealed during the attack test. Again, remember those leaf icons on those cards, those inspirations? You can do that to apply either Pierce or Smite. I don't know what Smite is. I'll have to look at that. Pierce means that you ignore armor, which is really useful. If a skill card is discarded because of the effect of a fire pit token, any icons on that card, such as Fate or Success, cannot be converted or spent during that test. Okay, so So yeah, Pierce lets you ignore armor. Smite, it says, what does Smite do? Smite lets you, oh, ignores an enemy's group's sorcery. Okay, I have not run into anything with sorcery yet, so that's something terrifying that we'll have to find out about later, I guess. Oh, great. Old fires left and right. I'll bet, man. But you're considered the new, the Wunderkind, right? You're the one that they're like, oh, you're the guy. Okay. Now we place 3 statues. Okay. Also, sometimes these cards also have special characteristics too, depending on the scenario. So this is a statue. And we place 3 of them. So the 3 statues are one here. And one here. And where's the third one? Ah, there. Where's my other statue at? Alright, I'm going to have to use something else for a fire pit then. Oh wait, maybe not. Maybe I won't. Alright, good. Alright, so I got those placed. I forget what statues do. Let's see, normally what a statue can do is... A statue normally... oh, you can interact with that statue. And, oh, okay. So when you interact with a statue token, you perform a might test. And if you're successful, you can actually choose an enemy group and apply 4 hits and sunder. So basically what it means is it's like you push the statue over on the enemies, which I think is pretty funny. So we've got statues. And then we've got 3 mists. Now this is new. I have never used mists, so I don't know anything about what they do. This is a mist. So we have 3 of them. We have one here. We have one here. And we have one over here. All right. So what it says about mists is... I appreciate what you've done there. Your mind is not foggy tonight, Firesnake. If a hero would suffer damage while in a space that has a mist token, any damage is suffered face down. When resolving an attack that targets an enemy group that is in a space with the mist token, during the attack, the hero cannot convert fate, which is those leaf icons, to success by spending inspiration. Wow. So basically, the only thing that works when you're in a mist space against enemies is successes. That's bad. That is not cool. I do not want to be fighting things like that. Because inspiration is hugely important. There's not all that many successes in a deck. There's a lot of inspiration options, but not many success options. So that is not good. All right. All right, here we go. As midnight approaches, a chill, unnatural fog rolls across the road. Gimli, on watch, sounds the alarm as inky shapes move through the fog. Slowly they resolve into countless wraiths moving to and fro and congregating outside the city gates as if waiting to gain entrance. You clean up your campsite and prepare yourself for what you do not know. Place hero is indicated to each scout's 3. Okay, so let's see. So our heroes are going to be right there next to the fire pit. That's what that yellow circle means. And then we're going to scout 3. So we're going to put Gimli, and we're going to put Aragorn out on the fire thing. Now, Scout 3 means what you do is you're going to draw 3 cards, and you're going to pick, I'm going to pick one. Oh, sorry. I should say, normally I would scout 3, but because of Aragorn's special ability, I'll turn that down a bit. Because of Aragorn's special ability, I get to scout 1 additional card. So I'm actually going to be scouting 4 instead of 3. So 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here are the options. I see some good ones here. So my choices are, first of all, Paths Unseen. After you sprint with this skill, you may place another hero in your space without provoking attacks. This is a cool one because it basically means you can take your other hero with you. So you can sprint, and as I told you, sprint is like moving a space for free, and then you can bring another hero with you to that spot. So that's pretty cool. Well Provisioned means at the start of your turn, you may discard this skill for you and a nearby hero to scout 2. Which is super useful because it basically means that I get to scout now and I get to scout immediately when he goes again. So I think I'm actually probably going to prepare that one. And then there are these other 2. One of them is Honed Agility. Whenever you test agility, you may discard it to add 1 success. So basically this means you get an automatic success on agility. Not a success doesn't mean you automatically pass the test, but you have a certain number of successes you have to get. This is definitely 1 success. And agility is my weakest ability for both Gimli and Aragorn, so this is useful. And then the other one is Undying Might, which is the same thing except might instead of agility. Remember though, it's not just the card, the text of the card, it's also this thing on the top. That means that I can use inspiration to trigger that, and that can be valuable, although at the moment Aragorn doesn't have any inspiration. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare Well Provisioned, this one, because it will allow me to immediately scout again. Now the cool thing about scouting is, after you've done that, you can then place these 3 other cards that you scouted in any order on top or on bottom of the deck. So if you get a garbage card, you can just put the garbage card on the bottom of your deck so that you don't end up with it. Now I'm going to use this one, probably, because this is going to give me that sprint ability, I think. So I'm probably going to put this on top, and then I'm going to put underneath it my 2 inspirations. And they're going to go on top of the deck. And now Gimli gets to do the same thing. Scout 3. Or Scout 4, rather. Scout 3. Okay. All right, so of these 3 options here that I've got, we have got, let's see, so we've got Kinship. That means you can aid a hero when a hero tests nearby, and that means the space next to you. You may discard this skill for that hero to reveal 2 additional cards. If they are a dwarf, you may scout 1. Now the cool thing about this is that because I have Aragorn's Scepter, which says that you are a dwarf, it means that I am a dwarf for the purposes of the game, and that means that he will get to do this if he uses this. So that's a pretty cool ability. Defense Instruction means that you can guard the other hero from taking damage, or yourself from taking damage, and also you can spend 1 inspiration to convert 1 fate to 2 successes. So that's really useful too. But again, it also has this success icon, and the success icon is super useful for testing. And last, Luck Wearer, which is really useful, which means after you deplete a depletion icon, and I have 2 of them, right? I have the Scepter, and I have the map. After, so if in Gimli's case, it would be the, not map, the book. It would be the book. After you deplete one of these, you may, come on, remove this skill from the adventure to gain a boon of your choice and place a depletion token on that. So basically, I could keep something from being depleted once. So that's really useful. And I think because it's more useful than the others, well, no, I take that back actually, because this thing I can now prepare, because this doesn't do anything in the deck other than what it says. It has no success or fate icon, so it's only useful for its text. So I would either put it at the bottom or I would keep it. If I were only going to scout the one time, then I would definitely not use this, because I would want to get something more useful up front. But because I know that I'm going to be scouting when Aragorn goes, it means that I can hold on to this. It means I can hold on to this safely. So I'm going to prepare this card. And I'm going to take these 2, and I'm going to put them back again on top of the deck, because I want to make sure that I get this card at least. So put it back like on top of that. Okay. All right. So that is done. Here we go. The city's imposing iron gate still stands solid against intruders into the city. Ghostly guardsmen now line the walls. Place a threat token as indicated. Okay, so it tells me to put a threat token, which looks like this. And we're going to put that right over here. Now, the thing about threat tokens is, if you look at the very top of this, that little number that you see, that little bar, is a threat bar. Bad things happen as threat increases, and if it ever reaches that top number, which right now is 55, that means that the scenario ends and you lose. So things happen in the game that can cause you to increase or decrease your threat. But yeah, it's a built-in free app that comes with it. Yeah, Polar. So that can either increase or decrease threat. And so threat is something that you sort of have to be careful about. Threat always goes up, but if you have enemies and threat tokens on the board, threat goes up an additional amount for all of the tokens and enemies on the board. So I want to deal with that threat at some point. Okay, so we continue. And it says, around the remains of a long doused campfire, you can spot the still shapes of skeletal bodies. This is a search token, and search tokens can find very useful things. In fact, sometimes you have to search for stuff, or sometimes it can be just not very useful. And when you search, it uses up time that could be spent doing other things. So you always have to balance out searching to get experience, searching to get items, trying to deal with threat, trying to deal with enemies. All of that is part of the mix. So, so there's a threat token up here. Okay. Okay. I think we got an enemy. It's either single. It's actually it's totally cooperative. So it's 1 to 5 players, Polar. So I'm playing it solo. I've been playing it solo for a while, but then you can play campaigns with people, and like then everyone takes one of the characters. Come on, focus. There we go. A spry wraith woman lingers near the edge of the forest that now encroaches upon the ruin, clad in the rugged gear of a hunter or pathfinder and holding a broken arrow. She reminds you somewhat of Hanara and Halbarad. The wind threatens to blow her away like so much dust. Place a person token as indicated. So right next to this bush, there's basically this person. Yeah. It is super cool. So I'm going to place her where it says the wraith of a knight in ancient armor, somehow appearing as once shining and tarnished, stands at attention. When he sees you, his hand moves to rest on the pommel of his sword. Of all the words you might think to apply to him, friendly is surely not one of them. Place a person token as indicated. Okay, so we got some knight dude over there. All right. Okay, that guy is right here. Token race. We need better race representation. Okay. To one side, at the center of a crowd of flickering figures, stands a stout wraith with a gold braid strung across his shoulders. Hail, travelers, he calls, focusing on you now. You have the look of peoples from far places and well-traveled. A numinous walks a dark path, but cannot turn them from their evil destiny if they will not listen. Can you help me? Place a person token as indicated. Okay, so we got some... Okay, so we got some guy there. It's a busy place. All right, and that one is right here. Got people all over the place. These wraiths stand out from the others, appearing more substantial and lucid. You are not sure of their intentions, but it is clear you will not be sleeping again tonight. Perhaps they will know how to get through the gates or another route into Anuminas. Objective updated, speak with the wraiths. Okay. Action phase. All right, here we go. So in the action phase, now we actually get to start moving and doing stuff. So you can take 2 actions in a game. You can take 2 actions in a turn. There are some things you can do like for free, like I told you about the cards, like sprinting you can do for free without using an action. But basically in an action you can interact with the token, search, threat, or person. You can move, you can attack, and I think there's something else, but I don't remember what it is. So, since I have to talk to these wraiths, I guess I'm probably going to start with Aragorn, because there's no enemies on the map as of yet. So I'm going to start with Aragorn's turn, and it says, with my well provisioned, at the start of this turn you may discard this skill for you and a nearby hero to scout 2. So I'm going to discard this card. I'm going to scout 2, which means I draw 2 cards. I keep one and I put the other one anywhere on the deck. I'm going to take my Paths Unseen, because this allows me to move for free. So I'm going to take that. And I'm going to put this one, which has a fate icon there, I'm going to put that on the top of my deck. And Gimli gets to scout as well because he's right in the same space. So he's going to take 2. He's going to take Luck Wearer, which allows him to do that thing about depletion that I mentioned. He's going to equip it. So he's got 3 cards equipped right now, 3 skills equipped. And he's going to take this other one and put it on top because it has that success icon, which is really valuable. Alright, so Aragorn, beginning of his turn. Now he gets to move. I have 2 sprint cards, which is really useful, like I said, because I can do this without having to move. So I'm going to start by moving. I'm going to move back to this guy. So I'm going to use my Trailblazer card. And I'm going to sprint. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use this one instead because that way I get another inspiration. So I'm going to sprint with this card, which means... come on, camera. Focus. Focus, damn you. There we go. Cool. So I'm going to sprint. So I'm going to discard this card. Now the reason I'm using this one is that I get to discard, and once I discard, this card says whenever you sprint, you gain an inspiration. So I will get an inspiration from sprinting with this card. So this allows me to move 1, and I get an inspiration, which looks like this, and I'm going to put it on my card. Okay. Now I'm going to chat with this Broseph, which is right here. So what you do is you click on the actual app, you click on that person, and it says, okay, the orator Phil falls just short of actually grasping your arm as you near him. It pains me to see that you have come to Annúminas at such a time, he says dramatically. You should see the star of Anor not in its darkest days, but its brightest. Okay, why do you say these are dark days? Come on. The king, the orator bellows for the benefit of the crowd. The king has locked the gate to keep out those whose beliefs frighten him, but he has abandoned those who remain within the city's walls in a manner even more sinister. He has left them to the doom of man. The wraiths must have dwelt on these grievances since the city was inhabited. Are they even capable of seeing the alternatives? Gain an inspiration. Good night, Nonstop. Okay, that's interesting. So I get an inspiration, which is good. And I've learned some information about him. Now, he's still there, so I still have to deal with him. And I was hoping I would just deal with him and then be done with it, but I don't think I was able to do that. So instead what I'm going to do, yeah, good night, Nonstop, sleep well, man. So I'm going to interact with him again, which is another action. So I've used one action so far. I sprinted, which is not an action. I interacted with him, that's an action. Now I'm going to use my second action of the turn to interact with him again and see if we can get something different from him. Here we go. The orator continues to stir the crowd, listing names and dates that mean nothing to you, but must recall wrathful memories for the wraiths listening. So we've got, who are you? Why are all these people outside the city? How can we get into the city? Tell me of the Scion. Tell me of the doom of man. Oh, shoot. I think I should ask, how can we get into the city? There is no way yet, but give that time, the orator grins. The Scion will see us through. Each night he leads us in battle against the guards who serve the High King, and I have a good feeling about this night. Do not we all? He shouts, and the crowd of wraiths sends up a cheer. You or a nearby hero may scout one. Wow, that's interesting. So these like wraiths are basically involved in this permanent night after night fight. Okay, so me or another person can scout one. Well, let's see. I think I'm going to have him scout. I'm going to have Aragorn scout. Oh, I didn't use my... Shoot. I forgot that I had a card. Yeah. It's kind of it's trying to deal with a lot at once. I guess I shouldn't complain too much, Polar, but I forgot to use... Gimli has a special item that allows him to draw more cards when he scouts, but I forgot to use it. But no big deal. I'll use that later. Okay. So I am going to scout... let's see. So what does he say? Scout one. So I can only scout one. I will do that. Undying Might. So I will hold on to that. And I will leave. This is a little risky because it's possible that I've got failures on this deck. But I'm going to take this Might because it's just useful to have those. I can hold on to them for later. So I'm going to do that. Okay. So now I'm done with this. So now the question is... dedicated camera for the phone, exactly. So the question is, I could sprint here and go back to where Gimli is, but the problem with doing that is that if I go back to where Gimli is, then there's other things that I haven't been able to ask this guy yet that I still have to do. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay there, and you guys can see that there's a bush in this space, right? So because there's a bush in this space, I'm going to test to try to get hidden. Dedicated camera for the hat, of course, 100%. Okay, so I may perform, because this does not count as an action, it says. So I may perform a wit test. So the way you do tests, again, is you draw 3 cards. Well, you draw the number that you have. I have a 3 wit. So I'm going to draw 3 cards. 1, 2, and 3. And I need to produce at least 2 success icons. So I'm going to use, I have 1 success icon right there, but I need 1 more. So I'm going to spend 1 inspiration because I have this card allows me to use an inspiration and I have 2. So I'm going to use 1 of my inspirations right here. I'm going to discard it and that will allow me to become hidden. Now being hidden is very useful. Yeah, I wish they were full-sized, but I'm not such a big fan of the small, tiny card thing. Okay, so this is the hidden boon. This means if you were attacked, before you test, you prevent all damage and discard this boon, which is super useful. Or when you attack, you may discard this boon to add 1 success. So basically, it's like you're jumping out of the shadows. So I like how thematic it is. So that's cool. So I get that boon for free. All right, cool. So that's the end of Aragorn's turn. Okay, so now it's Gimli's turn. So I'm going to have Gimli go up to this dude because, 1, because I can get hidden, and 2, because Aragorn's going to handle this guy, even though Gimli's not as sort of, you know, as quick-witted, we might say, as the others would be, or, you know, so to speak. Okay, so now usually I don't like doing what I'm about to do, which is to leave behind... Oh, no, actually, he is nearby, so I take that back. Nearby means that they're in adjacent spaces, so I don't know whether this wall means that they're not adjacent. Let me see if they're not, because it helps to have them be nearby for a lot of reasons. Spaces are not adjacent. Okay, so what that means is that by moving up there, he's no longer nearby. However, you get to move... There you go. You get to move 2 spaces. And the cool thing about the move action is that you can move, do another action, and then do the other move. So I'm going to move 1 space. I'm going to interact with this guy, and hopefully I'll take care of this person, whoever it is, and then I'll move back. If I can't do that, then I'll just stay in that space, and I'll have to not be adjacent to Aragorn this turn. So I'm going to move in here, and I'm going to interact with this person. Okay. The wraith glances at you sidelong as you approach, but offers only a terse greeting. Let's see. Um, who are you? She grips the broken arrow shaft. I walk the shores of Evendim and Brandywine. I watch at the borders of Arnor for enemies that may threaten its people, but enemies seem more plentiful within than without in these times. Lore increases by 1. So that lore is awesome because it's permanent and it helps you enhance your items. Okay. The woman turns back to stare out into the darkness, clearly having decided your conversation is over for now. Okay, so now I have a decision to make, which is, so I moved 1 and I interacted with her, but obviously there's more that I could say to her. So the question is, do I stay there or do I move back? I think I'm going to stay there because that way I can interact with her twice next turn instead of just once. So since I'm in a space with a bush, I'm going to test to see if Gimli gets hidden. And again, I think it's wit, right, to allow you to get hidden. I love the idea that you just jump into a bush. Okay, now he has only got 2 wit, so he's not big on the wit. 1 success, I need 1 more. Okay, and he has that in an inspiration. So, you know what though, I'm not going to use it because he only has 1 inspiration and I want to save it. So I'm not going to use that, so I will just fail the test. So I am not hidden, but you know, whatever, it's fine. It happens. Okay, now at the end of his turn, oh, actually, I take that back because I forgot about this. I forgot that at the end of my turn, I may discard this skill to gain an inspiration. So I actually will use that inspiration to make that other thing that I had a success. So that means that I am successfully hidden. And now I can discard Resourceful and get that inspiration right back. So that's pretty useful. Okay. And that's the end of the action phase. Hiding in a bush is pretty hard. Yes, this is true. Okay, so now we click on, we're done now, so now we click on this, which means, do you want to end the action phase? And yes. So now we get the shadow phase. This is where the bad guys go. So shadow phase. The shadow deepens, though hope yet endures. Threat increases by 5. Okay. Threat increases by 5, but that was actually really easy. No enemies. Oh boy, that's bad. Battery saver. Wait a second. I have my battery pack. Wait. Wait just a minute. Fortunately, I am prepared for any eventuality. It depends on the bush. Yeah, I mean, the thing I don't understand is it one of those like Divinity Original Sin 2 deals or Metal Gear Solid where you then like hold the bush with you as you walk along? Like, I'm not totally clear how that all goes down. Okay. Battery pack. And plug this bad boy in. There we go, lovely. Okay. So now we should be okay. It should be charging. And it is. Good, lovely. Okay. So that rally phase was actually, that shadow phase was not that bad. So each hero resets their deck and then scouts 2. So reset means that I basically just take the discards, I put it in with the draw pile that I had, reshuffle, and then I'm going to scout 2. Every move you make, it sheds more leaves and your hiddenness decreases. There we go. There we go. I love it. Okay, so we're going to do that. And we will have it do that. So... And because, again, Aragorn's ability means during the rally phase, you can scout an additional card, which is super useful. This is not like an incredibly heavy rules game by like the standards of like what I think it was Varney was talking about with Twilight Imperium. Compared to that game, this is not a heavy game. But compared to like what a lot of people imagine as being sort of the standard board game. There are a fair number of rules. And so one of the nice things about having a solo campaign is it means that as I play through this, I figure out a lot of these rules. So I'm not making, I still make a mistake here and there, like a rule that gets not done quite right or whatever. And, and that's fine because it means I learn, hopefully, not to do it again or not as much the next time around. All right. So now we're going to scout 2 on this one, which means 3 because of his ability. So I've got Unyielding Spirit, I've got Strider, and I've got Paths Unseen. Now again, Paths Unseen is pretty epic because Paths Unseen, exactly, Firesnake, yeah, exactly. Paths Unseen is great because, come on, focus, damn you. There we go. After you sprint with this skill, you may place another hero in your space without provoking attacks. So again, that's really useful. And it gives me another sprint to work with. Still, it's not going to matter if I don't get interactions, but that's okay. And then I've got Strider and Unyielding Spirit. So Strider's a success, so I'm going to put this up top. So now I know for a fact that I have a success on the top of that deck, and I know that I have something which is fate-based, so I can use my inspiration to convert that into a success. So I've got a minimum of 2 successes sitting on the top of that deck. That's the benefit of scouting, and it's one of the cool things mechanically about it because it's like you're gathering information together. I also just realized that, okay, I keep forgetting this. All right, this time I need to remember. When I interact with a person, you may deplete this item for you or a nearby hero to gain 2 inspiration or discard a fear. So I really need to remember to do that this turn. Please don't let me forget to do that. I forgot to do it last turn. Now the problem is I can inspire myself to do that, but because he's not right next to me, I can't, unfortunately, he's not adjacent to me, so that means that he's not nearby, so I can't use that for him, but I can use it for myself. So the like Arkham Horror, some of you may have played, is a board game that had tons of rules like this, and Arkham Horror, I feel like I've never met anybody, honestly, who played that game that got it completely right. Like, there was always something that somebody missed, always, because I just think there's just too much going on, honestly, in that game. So this one is not nearly that bad, but, and like, it's cool complexity, but it's like, this is the benefit of having an app which manages some of it. I mean, this still only has an app managing some of it. I heard people being like, oh, you could just get the app for free. I'm like, the app for free isn't going to tell you anything, man. Like, unless you just want to break through the story. Yes, there is a King in Yellow. I actually have Arkham Horror, and I think I may have gotten one of the expansions. I haven't played it, though, honestly, in years and years, as Terma, because A, it's not my game. It's not my type of game, because I don't particularly like Cthulhu stuff. And B, like, there's just so many other games that I think of doing what it does better now, because it's an older edition as well. But back in the day, you played what you played, you know. Okay, so now we're going to scout 3 again. Normally 2, but 3 because of Aragorn's ability. Oh, wait, no. Nearby heroes, so I can only scout 2 because he's not nearby. That sucks. Okay, so we've got 2 possibilities. We've got this, when you test Undying Spirit, you may discard the skill. This I'm not going to use because this is not as useful because I already have a very good spirit. This, on the other hand, is Wits, and because he's not particularly good with Wits, this is actually useful for him, so I am actually going to keep this card prepared. So we're going to prepare that card, and we're going to put this other one on top. Okay, cool. Excellent. And let me just make sure. Okay, good. It is, in fact, increasing its battery power. Okay. So here we go. Action phase. Okay. So action phase time. Okay. So now now we need to look and see who's gonna go do what first. I'm gonna use Aragorn to try to do this first. So I'm going to interact with, and I'm so tempted to do the ex post facto, and like because I did interact with that person twice and I forgot both times. Anyway. Okay, here we go. So we're going to interact. The orator continues to stir the crowd, blah, 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 blah. Tell me of the scion. Oh, this... Hello? Oh, really? Yeah, it's a long game as well. Yeah, it's so... Man, 10 minutes? It takes so long to set up and break down. That's impressive that you could do it in 10 minutes. Ah, the scion, he opines, a hand over where a living man's heart would be. He is one of the line of Elendil, just as the High King is, but has not had the good fortune of sitting upon the throne of Arnor. But the scion heeds the words of his people, that we do not accept the doom of man. He turns to the crowd, arms raised. And what is a king if he does not heed his kingdom? The crowd raises fists in a wordless cheer. Interesting. But you see the... something or other. Oh god, yep, gate. I remember that very well. But you see, the orator says, whirling dramatically back toward you, the High King in his tower in Annuminus with his seeing stone and his magic mirror was unwilling to consider the scions' entreaties, and instead exiled him and those of us who would not turn away from him. But we will not leave. You sense the conviction of this assembly of spirits. You suspect you will need the same conviction to survive the night. Become determined. Okay, so determined is another boon. And what determined means is... Determined says that when you test, you may discard this boon to discard any number of cards from that test and reveal that many additional cards, which is super useful. So I will put that right next to my hidden. So I am hidden and I am determined. So that's good. Bad news is I've used up another action. But now, because of my scepter, this scepter allows me to deplete this item for me or a nearby hero, but Gimli is not nearby, to gain 2 inspiration. So I will deplete this token right here, and I will put it there, and that will give me 2 inspiration. So 1, and you can have a maximum of 4. 1, 2. 2 inspiration. Awesome. Okay, so that was one action, was in interacting with him. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to interact with them a second time, because we're supposed to talk to these wraiths. Now, there's that other wraith over there that I've got to talk to as well, but I got to talk to these wraiths. So we're going to interact with him again. Okay. Tell me of the doom of man. The doom of... come on. The doom of man, the orator waits a beat to let the crowd boo and hiss. The doom of man is that, unlike the elves, we must die. Our ancestors in Numenor also disagreed on this matter. Many of them traveled farther east because they did not accept the doom of man. Those who settled here and in Gondor to the south called it the gift of man instead. But what gift is death, that our lives are short and so often cut from us without warning? Interesting. So we get lore, which is good. Continue. Now you have heard... come on. Now you have heard the truth of the matter, the orator says. I'm sure you must be convinced of the scion's rightness in the matter. I would love to hear your take on it as an outsider. Perhaps I'll even put a good word for you with the scion when he arrives. The orator's demeanor suggests he's expecting you to tell him and his audience what they want to hear. Oh boy. So that's probably going to mean that I have another test available to me. But I've used my 2 actions. So I am again going to, let's see. Now I have to decide, do I want to deplete? No, it has to be used with the app. Can't be played without it. Now the question is, do I deplete? But the app is available on Android, it's available on Steam, it's available on iOS. I'm playing it obviously with my phone. It's not a perfect scenario because you can't, if you buy it on Android, it's not cross-platform. Not buy it, it's free, but if you get it on Android, it's not cross-platform. So what that means is if you start playing on the phone, technically the save games stay in the phone, and you couldn't use it if you then went to Steam, which is not great. But, you know, I mean, you can work your way around it, it just means you have to plan ahead. So I'm trying to decide now if I want to deplete this or not. If I deplete it, then it means I will get an inspiration, 2 inspirations, but I can only use 1 inspiration. I only can bank 1 more inspiration because I already have 3. So I think I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to hold on to it and not do that. So that's the end of Aragorn's turn. Now it's Gimli's turn, and Gimli is also going to interact because he started at that, up at the very top up there. with this person up there. Okay, so let's see. You look skilled with a bow. The wraith allows herself a smirk. I can inspire you. I am, she says, but I don't use it anymore. Battlefield injury from the Scion's rebellion. She runs a fingertip over the broken arrow. Whoops. Sorry about that. You ask... Oh, we got a test coming up. You ask if the arrow has something to do with her history with the Scion. She looks down at the arrow shaft in her hand. She looks uncertain about whether or not to explain. So test either wits or spirit. That's what those icons mean. 3. So you need to get 3 successes, which is a lot. If you have a ranged item, but I don't, you may convert 1 fate to 1 success. Oh, okay, without having to use any fate. Okay, so my best item here is spirit rather than wits. However, so I have to balance this because spirit is more effective for me than wits. However, I have already a clever wit card which lets me get an automatic success. So I could use clever wit, and then that would be 1 success, and then with the other 2 I would have to get 2 successes. Or I could I still think it's going to make sense. I again forgot to use one of my items, damn it. One of Gimli's items. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, because I have, I think I'm going to use spirit. Because my spirit is actually 4. So, okay, we're looking for successes. No, it's inspiration. See, Poet's Heart is useless for a test. Success, that's good. I need 1 more like that. God damn it. I didn't get it. So what that means is I have 1 success. There's that. But then I need 2. This is a waste. And then I have 2 inspirations. The problem is that I only have 1 inspiration to use this with. And so that's only going to give me 2 instead of 3. So that is a fail, unfortunately. So fail. Yes, she says finally. The arrow reminds me of the cost of breaking my oaths. When she turns its away, it's clear she said all she plans to say on the matter. Well, crap. Okay, that sucks. All right, we're going to interact with her one. I didn't have the proper inspiration. I know, I totally didn't. Damn it. Shoot. And I wouldn't even have passed with the other one, so it doesn't even matter. Okay, now we're going to do one more time interacting with her, still with Gimli. Okay. The scout speaks before you have the chance to. In the... Whoop. On. In the Wraith world, we must bear our mistakes forever. Some of us even become our mistakes. She appears to take a deep, calming breath and forms becomes less distinct at the edges. Do you think that an oathbreaker is worthy of forgiveness? I do. The scout allows herself a small smile. For some reason I trust your words, she says, though I suppose being too trusting has never proven to be an asset to me. She says nothing more, but you sense you have created a bond of sorts. You have gained the scout's favor, and you and a nearby hero gain 1 inspiration. Now, unfortunately, Aragorn is not nearby, so I can't give him that, but Gimli does. So now Gimli's up to 2 inspiration, and I have her favor. So that's cool. Okay, I'm going to have to interact with her again, but I can't do that this turn. So that's the end of our turn. So we're going to hit this, and now it is shadow phase time. The shadow deepens, the hope yet endures. Threat increases by 5. And we've hit the first threat problem. A scouting party of Adarin's orcs approaches the glow of your campfire with weapons ready, expecting to take you by surprise. The sight of so many wraiths gives them momentary pause, fouling their plan for an ambush. Alright, so we got 2 ruffians that are going to be on that space. So, these are ruffians. Here's a ruffian. And let's see, he goes here. See, I don't want to fight him there because fighting him there is on that misty space. 2 ruffians. These rough ruffians. Okay. Oh, and there's an orc marauder. And he's an elite orc marauder, too. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay. So, your orc marauder is definitely nastier than your ruffian. This is an orc marauder. There's your orc marauder. So, that guy is going to go here. Rally face. Now, again, those guys, so now I'm going to reset the deck and then scout 2. So the thing about these dudes is that they are... okay. The thing about those guys is that those guys add to threat. As long as they are on the board, not only the normal threat, but each monster is going to create additional threat. And Gimli is the guy that I usually use to deal with the bad guys. The problem that I have now is that, I mean, Aragorn is okay as a fighter as well, but is that I don't want to go into the mists to fight them because it's going to be difficult to kill them, harder to kill them on the sort of misty side of the map, which is sucky. So I need to think of some other way to sort of handle it. And so what I probably am going to do is I'm going to let them come to me because I have the ability to, I'm hidden already because of that bush. So I'm going to probably interact with the dude one more time and then see if I can sprint out of there and get to Gimli's space so that I can have them come to me. And having them come to me means that I get to fight them. I might even move to the fire pit and have them try to come to me to the fire pit. That might even be a good idea. Defeating an enemy group, by the way, also gives you inspiration. So that's another good thing. Exactly. Hello. All right. So 1, 2, and again, still not nearby. So 2 and 3. So I can only use this for myself. Okay, Wind Among Grass. This is kind of cool because you and each nearby hero may move 1 space without provoking attacks, but he's not nearby though. And I don't want to have to attack with him, so I think I'm going to leave this as an attack. Unyielding Spirit and Time of Need. So Time of Need is useful because this thing says when you test, if you do not reveal any success, you may discard this skill to convert all fate to success without having to use the inspiration. So that's pretty useful, but this spirit one is useful also because I only have 2 spirit, and this one gives me an additional success when I test spirit. So I'm actually going to use that, I think. And that's the 4th of 4, so I can't prepare any more skills right now. I'm going to put both of these 2 on the top. Okay. And And Gimli resets. And this time I am going to remember something I forgot last time, which is that he has this Tome of Battle, which is when you scout, you deplete this item to reveal 2 additional cards. And it's even better when you have an enemy in your space. I don't, but that's okay. So, what I'm going to do is... And so there's a lot of almost like chain combos, you know, like items that work together and work off of each other really well, which is super useful. Okay, so I'm going to scout. I'm going to use this to reveal 2 additional cards. So I get 2 plus 2 additional. 3 and 4. This one, completely useless. Uncertain weakness. Completely useless. So that's good because I'm going to put it at the bottom of the deck. That's the benefit of scouting. So we'll get rid of that. Now, because I have depleted one of these things, so I deplete that. Because I depleted it, now I can use my Luck Wearer card. And my Luck Wearer card, which is one of my titles that I gained, is that when you deplete an item... For the love of God, focus. Oh my God. After you deplete a token, you may remove this skill from the adventure to gain a boon of your choice and place depletion token back. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to get the depletion token right back that I just used. I'm going to remove this from the adventure, and I'm going to get a boon. I already have hidden, so I could get either determined or emboldened. So I'm going to get determined. Where do I place Tolkien? I place him at the top of all writers. That's where I place him. You know that, Dragon. Oh, and there's the phone turning off again because, of course. Okay, so I'm going to be determined because, again, that will be valuable for these tests. Lovely. So that was a cool little combo that just happened there. And now that I've done that, to go back to this, I'm going to use my Resourceful. Because Resourceful, again, allows me to, when I prepare it, gain an inspiration. So I'm going to do that, which now maxes out my inspiration. So I'm now at 3 max. And I will take the other 2, and I will put them on top of each other. Lovely. Okay, so that was Scout, so now it's Aragorn's turn. Well, that's actually whoever's turn I want it to be. So I'm going to start by interacting... Action phase. So I'm going to start by interacting with this person over here again. Okay, let's see. So this is interesting. So because of the interactions I had with him before, I can now debate the orator, or I could help him stir the crowd. So remember that he talked about the doom of man being death. So the question is, do I debate him or not? And I bet it'll have an effect. So I'm going to debate him. Maybe because I'm a debater. I was a debater myself, so I'll debate him. You stand at the something of the crowd. You stand at the head of the crowd and challenge the order's stance. You wade into the hostile territory of the crowd who already wish to believe you are blind. Masturbator, yes, yes indeed. So I can test either wits or wisdom. Now, wisdom is my best thing. I have 4 in wisdom, and I'm a human, so I get a success. But the thing is, it doesn't tell me how many I need to get. So normally I've tried to do like 3, but I'm going to try to knock this guy the hell out. So I'm going to test wisdom. I have 1 success to begin with, and we've got 4. So 1, that's a success. 2 inspirations that I could use. 3, that's a success. And then this, unfortunately, is useless for that. So I've got 2 successes. And I could reveal an additional card. Yeah, I'm going to discard this and see if I can get something else. So I'm going to discard that card. I'm going to use my determined boon to get another card, basically. So I use up determined, because I'm determined to win this debate. And I'm looking for another success or a fate, and I got it. So that means that I've now got 2 successes, plus human, 3 successes, and I'm going to use 2 inspirations. 1, 2. There's a reason I'm using that many also, which I'll explain in a minute. Has to do with my scepter. So I'm going to do all that. So that means I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 5 successes. Because it already says they're hostile. So confirm. You counter the notion that morality is anything but a gift because it lets men live and die and be free from the attachment to the physical world. Holy crap, that wasn't enough? Because I could have used 1 more inspiration to get up to 6. Oh my god. And be free from the attachment to the physical world that binds the peoples of Middle-earth. But at each turn, the orator has new points to consider, some of which refer to events or people you've never heard of, but that clearly means something to the crowd. You may have seated doubt among them, but they are not yet convinced. Wow. A guard claps a valance against his... Hello. Wow, I'm surprised. Now, those are cumulative, so it means that I can try again and add to my successes again, but I'm surprised. I mean, I could have gotten even more. I thought that, 5 was pretty safe. Would you please focus? Oh my god. There we go. A guard claps a vambrance against his halberd, and though both are made of the same wispy immateriality as the rest of the ghost, the gesture produces a resounding clang. Quiet down, you rabble. Okay. I'm going to test again then. I am rather shocked, but I'm going to test again. I'm going to debate him again. Okay, 1. Here we go. Oh yes, the reason I forgot about this. I want to make sure that I use this. I am going to call this because I said I was going to. So, when you interact with a person, you may deplete this item to gain 2 inspirations. So I'm going to do that so I get 2 inspiration back. Was the other reason I was willing to do that. Okay, here we go. We're going to test wisdom again. I'm already a human, so that gives me a success. 1, 2, that's useless. 3, 4, crap. 2 useless cards. Misled and well provisioned are both useless. So I have 1 success from an inspiration. I have 1 success that I got on my card. That's 2. Plus 1 is humans. That's 3. I hope that's enough. And I don't have anything else, I think, which can... I don't have anything else which can help. So, 3. Let's go. You wield history and experience as deftly as any weapon. The orator interjects with his own counter-arguments, but you anticipate each and already have responses prepared. Finally, he deflates, resigned that you are at least convincing, and the race of the crowd start to drift away on the wind. The orator has been banished and will not lend the scion his strength. You and a nearby hero become determined or gain 1 inspiration, then discard this person token. That's interesting, so I wonder if that's good or bad. I don't even know whether the scion is good or bad, but I feel like the scion is probably not so cool, so I'm guessing. So he will not help the scion, which is probably good, especially because I also got an inspiration. So I get an inspiration. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to become determined because I'm determined. And the reason I'm choosing determined instead of the inspiration is I'm again going to use my scepter after I interacted to turn that in and get 2 more inspirations. Now I've only got 1 more ability left with that scepter, but this way I'm up to max on inspirations. Okay, so here's where the sprint comes into play. Because, yeah, exactly. That's what I love about it. So this person token is gone. Okay, here's where this comes into play. So now I have not 1, but 2 things that I can use for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move. I'm out of actions, but this does not count as an action. So I'm going to sprint with this. Hey, what's up, Burner? Good to see you, man. That moves me 1 space. And I'm going to sprint with my other one. That brings me up to here. So now we're in the same space. We've used our inspiration. We have not had to, that was free actions there. So all of our actions are used up, and we used what we needed to. Okay. And we dealt with a Wraith. So now we're back up there. His turn's over, but now he's back with Gimli, and I like having them near each other or in the same space if possible. Okay, now it's Gimli's turn. So Gimli is still dealing with this person whose favor he's already gained. So let's talk to... She got the favor, so let's talk about how can we get into the city. She glances at you, her ghostly attention truly on you for the first time. The guards will let only those they trust to be allies of Arnor through, and they are only convinced by deed, not word. She motions to all the wraiths around you, herself included. Our deeds have seen us condemned forever in their eyes. You ask if there is truly no other way. Only the lake, she says, but it will take you half a day just to reach the nearest shore that isn't inside the city walls or too sheer for boats, and that's if you move fast. Okay, so we have to convince the guards to let us in. All right, that's cool. 5. You can play up to 5 players at once, Fire, which is pretty cool. And you gain an inspiration, but I'm maxed out on inspiration, so I can't use that. Still, though, that was pretty good. Okay. Stairs, and I'm going to get one more with her. Okay, why are all these people outside the city? She says, come on. The High King of Arnor has shut the gates to those of us who think someone else should be on the throne, she says. He thinks he's doing us a favor, not locking us up for treason. Scout 1, okay? So I'm going to Scout 1, and remember, I have my Tome of Battle, so I get to deplete an item here, and can do that to reveal 2 additional cards. So I actually can Scout 3, 2 and 3. This is really useful because I have this thing, Agility, and as I said, he's very bad on Agility, so this will give me a free extra 1. This takes place, I think this takes place in between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but I don't remember when exactly. I need to look it up, but okay. So there's that. I'm going to put these 2 are going to be like this. Okay, cool. In 2020. Yes, that too. Okay, so that was, I interacted with her once and found that out. Okay, so I'm going to interact with her. So I interacted with her once. Okay, and I'm going to interact with her one last time. This is my second and last action. Why do you stand against the High King? I do not stand against the High King. Yeah, that's when the Lord of the Rings role-playing game, The Adventures of Middle-earth that I play, is set, actually. Fire. Damn you, focus. I did not stand against the High King so much as I stood beside the man the people now call the Scion. She pulls the outer shaft between her fingers, but no king stands with me. She runs a fingertip over the broken arrow. Woman turns back to stare into the darkness. Interesting. All right, well. So that's interesting. So that takes care of that. Like, I don't know what else I can do with her. I think I pretty much, and maybe I can interact with her one more time. You can click on her and see whether there is something that allows you to interact with her, which is nice, so you don't have to waste a movement. But anyway, that's Gimli's turn. Okay, that's Gimli's turn. Great, and that's the end of that. So now these guys are going to move towards him. So that's the end of the action phase. Now shadow phase. Yeah, because that way you don't waste it. Okay, so now what it does is, this is the way combat works. So it shows you up here to attack Aragorn or the closest hero, and it says move 1, and it tells you which one, and this is the Orc Marauder, which is the guy down here, this dude. But moving 1 is not going to allow him to target them, and so we decide the destiny of the One Ring, exactly, Echo. So that means that there's no target. It means that he can't reach them. So you click no target, and it tells you, okay, because it can't target him, he's going to do something instead, and this is what he does instead. What he's going to do is, if it ever wants to focus, oh my god, there we go. Howling a fierce war cry, the orc marches towards you. Move 2 spaces toward the closest hero. Okay, so he's going to go 1 and 2. So he's now in my space. And if we try to do other stuff besides dealing with this guy, we're going to provoke him to attack us. It's like an attack of opportunity in D&D. So we're going to have to deal with this dude. But that's fine, because I wanted to fight him here and outside of the mist, so I'm okay with that. Now the other guys get to go. So the ruffians are going to try to move 2 and attack the closest hero. The banner thing is just to distinguish between creature groups. So when it puts more than one group out on the map, you have different banners, so you can keep them separate, so you don't get confused about which one you're actually attacking and fighting. That's why. So move 2, but that's not going to get them there. It's not quite enough because of the wall. So I'm going to say no target, which means a ruffian is set on hemming you in. So they're going to move in, move 4 spaces. So now we have a very busy thing here. So we got 3 guys in the space. But again, we're fighting them not in a mist space, and Aragorn and Gimli are very good at combat, as you're about to see. So the shadow deepens, threat increases by 5, which means we have a new trigger because we hit that next sort of milestone in the threat meter. And it says, hello, eventually. A shriek near tears the veil of the dark, a howling wail that can't come from any living throat. The Scion is coming! The fear of it settles around you, driving the dim light of the moon and stars away. All spaces are in darkness. Okay, so this has got to be, this is clearly a bad guy. I made the right call here. This is a good call. I clearly made the right call in backing the High King over the Scion, because the Scion is probably the bad guy that I'm looking for. And so anything I can do to kind of undercut him is a good thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I only have 5 of these. So darkness means that any space that I'm in that has darkness, I have the risk of taking fear every round, and fear is very bad. So I'm going to put a darkness space here. Any space that I can basically get close to this turn. So here, 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 and then I'll shift those around as I need to. It's time for the special combo move. Dwarf Toss, exactly. Okay. A murmur passes through the wraiths around you, eventually. No, I promise, really. The Scion approaches. The voices are reverential. You remain surrounded by wraiths, but perhaps if you can befriend them, they can help you survive what is coming, but can you really trust them? Objective updated. Befriend or banish the wraiths before the Scion arrives. Well, that's what I'm doing. What's up with talking? Attack the darkness. Okay, so now it's the rally phase. So I've got to deal with these guys, and I got to befriend this woman, and then head down to the south to try to get the rest of them. So it's the rally phase. So in the rally phase, each one resets their deck, and then scouts 2. And because of Aragorn's captain ability, it means that he's actually going to scout 3 instead of 2. And now, because Gimli is in a nearby space, he's actually in the same space, it means that Gimli also gets the benefit of this. So Gimli can also scout an extra card now, because he's right next to him. And because he's in a card, when he scouts, he can use his Tome of Battle. And because he's using his Tome of Battle, he will gain an inspiration from doing so, which is neat. I am, however, maxed out on skills that are prepared, so I may have to discard a skill, so we will see how this all goes. But first we'll start with Aragorn. Aragorn has plenty of room for prepared skills. He's only got 1 prepared skill so far. Okay, so Aragorn is going to draw, 3, and then he's going to pick 1 to keep, and he's going to put the other 2 on the top or bottom of his deck. So this one is useful. This one is, first of all, Sprint, which, as I've told you, is really good for Pathfinders, but also, before you test, you can discard this skill to test Wisdom instead, because he has Wisdom 4, which is better than, like, let's say they asked him to test Agility, which is his weakest skill. I could test this instead. So I will keep that, and then I will put the success on the top, plus the inspiration, the fate on top, which means I know I have at least 2 successes coming out of whatever my next check will be. And then this thing, my boy Gimli. This is going to be a kill everyone as fast as you can and then deal with the person. And it's going to be Gimli who's going to be doing most of the heavy lifting on this one because he's the combat guy. I mean, Aragorn, as I said, is okay, but Gimli is a certified badass. Okay, so, and because he's hidden, it means that he is going to get an extra success on his attack because he's jumping out of the bush. So Gimli, jumping out of a bush. Just want to be clear about that. Okay, so he gets to scout 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. When you test spirit, you may discard this skill to add 1. It's not really that useful comparatively. So I think I'm just going to discard it. I'm not going to prepare it, but I'm going to put these two on top because they're 2 successes. So I'm going to put those 2 successes right up top. Okay. Action phase time. All right, here we go, combat time. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start by having Gimli try to attack these guys. And I will have him attack the Orc Marauder first. So let me just check one thing about provoking. I don't know if you provoke an enemy if you attack another enemy. So let's see. Okay. So if I tried to talk to the Wraith, these guys would attack. So we can't have that. So Gimli is going to take out the Orc Marauder. So the way that we do this is we click on the Orc Marauder, who is an elite, by the way. He has like a special, you can probably see once it focuses. Come on, game. Camera, I mean. Oh, for the love of God. There we go. So you can see that that icon now is red with those spikes on top. That's elite, and that means that he is basically better than your typical character. So we're going to get rid of that guy as soon as we can. So we're going to kill him. So this is what we see. First of all, he is... What does that say? Oh, he's spike armored. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds bad. And then he's got 5 health and 3 armor. The thing about armor is that you have to get through the armor before you do any damage, and if you don't kill him in one shot, then he can counterattack you. So, I want to see what spike armored means. I have not run into anyone who is spike armored yet. Spike armored. Is that a modifier, maybe? No idea where this would be. Oh, you know what? I wonder... This might be in my expansion rules. What the hell does spike armored mean? Spike armored. Each enemy gains extra armor. When this group attacks, its damage is increased. Oh, okay. Well, we need to take him out. That's what that means. So, okay, so we're going to have Gimli attack him. So the way you attack him is just like everything else, you do a test. So you do, I'm going to test might. And that's Gimli's best thing. So we're looking for successes. 1, 2. That sucks. That's a useless, uncertain, that's a useless card. And an inspiration, a fate, which I can convert into a success. Okay. So what that means is... Oh, and I forgot to check my Twitter. Okay, I will do that in a second. Let's see. I want to make sure I did this. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that yet. That's right. I didn't want to do that yet. I didn't want to scout the additional yet. Okay, so I have 3 successes. And I thought there was something else that I was doing with this thing. Oh, that's right. I'm using my determined card to get rid of my uncertain and to draw something else. So give me another success. I want 4 successes. I got one. 4 successes. So 3 successes plus I spend an inspiration to get a 4th success. So that means 4 successes. Now you ask, why did I want that many successes? Here's where you look at the awesomeness of this battle axe. Because observe. So here's the battle axe. Every one of those successes, I can use one of them to trigger one of those lines. So 2 of them, and here we go, Fire Snake, here's why. 2 of them, so I use that little 2 line, 6 hits. And then the other 2 I use for each one of those lines. So that means on this one, I'm going to be getting 11 hits plus Sunder. Sunder damages armor. Basically, this means I've just annihilated this guy. So what we do is we tap this, and then we put Sunder. You can see it says Sunder. We click on that. Sunder. And now we put in 11 hits. And you can see that there's now a skull there. It says apply 11 hits. Yes. Confirm. That guy is very dead. So remove one Orc Marauder, and you or a nearby hero gain inspiration. So this Marauder is dead. That means he's not going to be contributing to the threat. Plus I got an inspiration. He was an elite enemy too, so I really wanted that dude dead. Oh, and I forgot I forgot I didn't need to use Determined. I forgot. This is what I mean. Sometimes, okay, I didn't need to use that because my hidden, remember I was jumping out of the bush? So that gave me that extra success I needed. So I didn't need to do that. So my bad. My fault. I remember. Thank goodness. I got a little confused there, but we're all good now. That was weird, but we're back in the club. Okay. Okay, so we killed him. So that's gone. And I get an inspiration. And I will keep that inspiration for myself because Aragorn is maxed out already. Lovely. Okay, so that was the first combat. That was one action, was attacking that group. So that's done. Now Gimli's going to turn to the second group, which is the Ruffians. Jesus Fish, this is Journeys in Middle-earth. This is the board game from Fantasy Flight. Just came out a few months ago, maybe 5-6 months ago. So after this turn is Terma. I will check my Twitter, by the way. Okay, so now I'm going to have Gimli attack those Ruffians. So same deal. This time I'm going to have him... Okay, Orc Marauder's gone. So this time I'm going to have him attack those. Sure, my pleasure. Okay, so these guys, you can tell, are much less problematic, right? They have no particular bonuses. They don't have any spike armor. They do, however, have 10 health between the two of them. So again, I'm going to need some serious, firepower here. But at the least, I should be able to take one of them out, if not two. So here we go. So I'm going to... That's one. One success. That's useless. But again, I have Determined, so... Okay. So I am going to try to get rid of this. Now I will use my Determined card so that I can draw another card in place of that Poet's Heart, which isn't useful for this. Poet's Heart is actually a good card, but not for tests. So now I'm going to draw this one, and... Ah, shoot. Word of Glory, which is a good card, but it doesn't have any fate on it, so that didn't help me at all. Unfortunately, that means I've only got 3. So let's see if 3 is going to be enough. So I'm going to discard this. I used 2 inspiration, plus the success that was already on there. And so now we're going to see whether that was enough. So I have 3 successes. Yeah, it's not going to be quite enough, because what this is going to do is, this means that I'm going to have 3 hits and 6 hits. So that's, whoops. So that's, there we go. That's 9 hits, or 8 hits with Sunder, but they don't have armor, so I'm not going to do that. So 9 hits. 9 hits is not quite enough to one-shot them, so they will get a counterattack. But that does a lot of damage, so I click this, and then I just do 9 hits. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, kills one, almost kills the other, but not quite. Confirm. Okay, and then we remove one Ruffian. Okay, one Ruffian is gone, and then it's going to ask me if the other one can counterattack. And he can counterattack because he's in the same space, so yes. And so he attacks back. And the Ruffian, if this ever focuses... There we go. A man unsheathes a huge sword and attacks. Might negates. So this is, again, another test. So might negates, and I do have the benefit here of might being my strongest ability. So I am going to draw 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Might negates. Now right now I'm taking 2 damage, and I'm taking 1 fear. So every success removes one of those before I have to apply it to my character. So I am going to use, let's see, So I'm going to take 2 successes. Can I do that? Yes. All right, I'm going to take 2 successes, which is all I can do because I only have 1 inspiration. I'm going to take 2 successes, 1 success plus 1 inspiration that I use to negate 1 fear and 1 damage. That means that I'm going to take 1 damage on my character. So I have 1 face down damage on Gimli. And he can sustain 6 of them. So he's actually 6? Yeah, 6 of them. So that's pretty badass, frankly. Okay, so he took 1 damage, not a big deal. Okay, and that was the counterattack. Now, there is 1 guy who remains, and at the end of this, I have my resourceful. So since my turn is over, I will discard this card to gain an inspiration. So I now have 2 inspiration. Okay. So now we've got Aragorn. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out this person with Aragorn, and then we're going to interact with the person. So we're going to take out the person with Aragorn first. Take out the ruffian with Aragorn first, because it's only 1 hit. This should not be difficult. So I'm going to attack the guy. All I need is 1 hit. He has 3 might, which is not as good as Gimli, but still pretty good. And all he needs is 1 success. There's 3. Actually, it's kind of a waste of a success, which is too bad, because he's going to need that for something else, but whatever. So that means he's got his hit. I might as well use the 2 of them for 5 hits. So again, we hit this, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. What just happened? Oh, I accidentally, okay. Okay, apply. And confirm. That guy's dead. Remove a ruffian, and you or a nearby hero gain an inspiration. Okay, so the ruffian's gone. All the enemies are off the board again. And I'm going to give Gimli, because he's nearby now, he's actually in the same space, an inspiration. So both my heroes are maxed out now. So that was my first action with Aragorn. With my second action with Aragorn, I am going to, with my second action, yeah, and I didn't actually want to use my hidden, so I'm still hidden. So I'm going to interact with her, because I need to get her to support me against the... Oh, okay. So she's already... Okay, so I've already gotten as much as I can get out of her. Okay. Well, then in that case, what I need to do is, then I need to move to interact with the Wraith, who is that knight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move. Now, here's the benefit of the sprint. Because remember, I've already used 1 action, right? If I moved, I would use my other action. But remember, I have this card, which allows me to sprint. If I discard it, I can move Aragorn for free. Now I'm in the space with this dude, and now I get to interact with him right now, this turn, before we get to another threat section. So I'm going to interact with him now. Okay. This is the knight, I think. The knight's fingers tighten around the hilt of his sword. He is clad in harder, more resplendent armor than the guards at the gate. Okay? Well, let us interact. Which king do you serve? The knight, something or other, says. Come on. Which king do you serve? The High Knight challenges. Come on, you bloody... Oh my god, it's driving me up a wall. There we go. Which king do you serve? The knight challenges, thumbing his sword just free of its scabbard. The High King of Arnor, man. It's a challenge then, the knight says, and draws his sword. Uh-oh. Is he not pro the High King? Is he pro the Scion? The king says and draws his sword. Even ghostly and immaterial, the blade is beautiful. Defend yourself. I will draw my weapon. The knight takes the combat stance, make armor great again, of a well-trained warrior. Even though the camera isn't showing you that, because of course it isn't. Well, I figured that it was going to do that. Okay, So when he moves, his blade is terrifyingly swift. So I can either test might or agility. Well, it's sure not going to be agility because that's his weakest thing. Although I do, no, I don't have that. So I'm going to test with might. Now the good news is that my testing with might, I have my determined. So I can draw 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I have 1 success already. And I have 1 inspiration that I can use. So that's 2. So I passed the test. Did you choose, rat? Pass. You dodged the knight's blow, his ethereal blade sliding off your own weapon with ease. He's surprised by your skilled defense, and you see an opening to counterattack. Now I have might or wit 3. Wow, okay. So, here we go. I mean, I'm attacking, so I'm going to use my hidden here. Because I can add a success. So I'm going to use my hidden to do that. So 1 success. So I just need 2 successes off of 3 here. 2 successes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, misted. Or misled, rather. So that's useless. But the good news is I could use determined, but I have already 2 inspiration that I could use with this. So, and I already got 1 success, so I just need 2 more. So 2 inspiration, which means I've got 3. So I'm going to use 2 inspiration, which means I'm only down to 1 inspiration. But the good news is that I've got still my determined in my back pocket. So I'm going to ask you if you're a god, you say yes. Okay, so we passed. All right. You look for an opening in the knight's defense, and when you see it, you strike. The knight is unprepared for the skill of your maneuver, and though your attack passes bloodlessly through his ghostly form, he falls to one knee as if badly hurt. You are more skilled than I expected, he concedes, clutching his side as he rises to his feet. You and a nearby hero gain inspiration. See, that's really useful because Gimli is in the space next to me, so he is nearby. However, he's already maxed out on inspiration. So I will just take out my inspiration for today because inspiration's a good thing. Okay, are we friends now? Now step back, the knight says. I cannot be distracted now. Step back? What do you mean step back? Man, I still got to deal with this guy. Alright, well, I can't do that this turn because I used my sprint already, but still, pretty useful. Now, the good news is also I have my last one of these, my scepter. I interacted with him, and so I can gain 2 inspiration. And I will gain those 2 inspiration, which maxes me out. However, now the scepter is used up, and so now I'm out of tricks on Aragorn. So now we just got to make sure the inspiration flows as well. He's maxed inspiration. Does he get all sweaty? I would assume so. And you're right, Firesnake. One of the things that you need to learn is that this is something where you use inspiration. You want to be using it steadily. You don't want to waste it, but you want to use it steadily because you use it to get it. Like it just kind of flows in and out, as you say. Okay, so that was a useful. That was definitely useful. That took care of Aragorn, and I think, and I had Gimli fight. Okay, so Gimli took care of the heroes. Aragorn finished it off and then interacted with him. That's the turn. Now we go into the shadow phase. Now we have a darkness step because now we have actual darkness on the board. So each hero in darkness suffers 2 fear and spirit negates, and everybody is in darkness, as it says. So we start with him, spirit negates. So I'm in darkness, and so I have 2 fears. That's 1 success, and that's not a success, unfortunately. I could get rid of it with my determined, but I don't want to do that. I want to use save the determined for something else. So I'm just going to take 1 fear. And because of my Westmarch garb, I have an increase in fear anyway, so I can have up to 6 fear before I have to do a last stand. So that's not the worst thing in the world. The spice must flow. Okay, now Gimli. Gimli is all about that spirit. He's got 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. He actually has 3 successes, so he gets no fear at all because he's Gimli and he's like, whatever, Like Rutger Hauer says, that's where I live, in the darkness. Okay. Shadow deepens, although hope yet endures. So that means threat increases by, what's that number? 5. Okay. Okay. All right, and now we get the rally phase. All right. So good stuff. So the order now is to interact with. I think Gimli doesn't have anything else he can do to interact with her. So I think what I'm going to do now is going to depend on whether I get any Pathfinder cards. Because what I need to do is have Aragorn interact with that guy. I don't want him to stay too far. I don't want Gimli to stay way too far. But what I'd like to do is to have Aragorn deal with this guy, right? Deal with this person who's on the board right now. Hopefully get the knight to either go away or to befriend him or do whatever. And then have... if there's any enemies that show up on the board, then Gimli comes in and does cleanup. So I'd like to have Aragorn go first and Gimli go second. There are things which can reduce the threat that happen in the game, but not something that I can do ahead of time. At least not any cards that I've found yet. Maybe there's stuff later on that allows you to decrease threat, but I haven't found any of that as of yet, Firesnake, other than stuff that happens in the game. And things that you do can affect, can definitely reduce threat based upon actions that you take within the game. Okay, so again, we're scouting 2, but because of his ability, we scout 3. All right. So we have got here Thorngill. We've also got Lead the Charge. When you attack, you discard it to gain inspiration and have a nearby hero. That's useful, but there's no enemies on the board, so instead I'm going to keep this, because this allows me to sprint 1, which is going to be useful. And then I will place these ones up here on the top of the deck. So that's Aragorn. Gimli actually used his entire deck that turn. He went through his entire deck because he had a lot of might tests, both because he was fighting and because of the fear test that he took. So he had a lot of things, so he actually used up his whole deck. And if you run through your whole deck, you just reshuffle it and like draw again. That's what you do. But frankly, there's enough shuffling in this game that I'd rather not have to do extra shuffles if I can avoid it. So. Reducing threat is easy. How so is Terma? Let me know. Notify me. Show me the way. This is the way. There you go. Yeah, well, I don't even know if he's going to let me deal with him or not. If not, then I'm going to have to deal with that search. If there's nothing else left to happen with him, then I'm going to go to the search token, search there, and then finally I'll deal with that threat. I really want to stay out of those misty spaces because enemies, because you can't attack them with inspiration, you can only attack them with successes. So I'm going to be less effective in combat against those. So here we go. Okay, scout. 1, that's useless. 2, and 3. So the one that I'd like to actually ready here would be... I think this ready defense would be good, which is when you test a negate, add 1 success, or you can guard another hero. That also combos nicely with other things I have. So I'm going to do that, even though it's using 1 of my success. This piece of garbage is going to the bottom of the deck, and this, which is 1 success, is going to go to the top of the deck. So I know I have 1 success for sure. Okay. Let's do it. Action phase. Okay, so I just want to confirm. Right, she's got nothing. All right, so there's nothing there. So I just wanted to make sure. So let's start with this dude. Let's start with Aragorn. Okay, the knight's fingers tingle. So there's a lot of stuff here, actually. Who are you? How do we get inside the city? Asked to join the knight's order. I got to ask who he is first. Who are you? I am a member of Arnor's finest order. I have seen battle against orc and goblin and man. This blade slew the mad troll of the Tower Hills. He pats the pommel of his sword proudly. but I have been ejected and branded as an Oathbreaker because I fought alongside the Scion, who should have been on the throne in his rebellion against the High King of Arnor. Gain an inspiration. I can't gain inspiration, so because I'm maxed out. Now step back. I cannot be distracted. What's up, Shatter? How's AGDQ treating you, man? It's bad for your sight. Ah. How's AGDQ, man? Okay, so I'm gonna deal with that guy again. I don't want to join his order though. All right, how can we get into the city? It's going okay. Oh, I thought you were. I swear to God, man. Oh, little cards, little cards. Okay, can you please now? Thank you. Goose Game is Saturday evening during the finale night. I got to try to see. I'm going to at least look at the VOD. I'm going to be streaming during that time, but I'd like to see it, Chatter. And you're doing that one, right? Are you running it or are you commenting on it? Because we need to make sure we see. Honk has been a running meme. We're gonna have a full house. Oh, I'm pumped, man. Are you actually running it? You're the backup runner. Okay, you're on the couch. Awesome. We're gonna have to tune in to see our own Shatter Mage. Remember us, man, when you're rich and famous with all that speed running monies. Okay. So, what did the knight say? He says, no, the gate is the only way, though given time someone may knock it down. The knight rubs the mist of beard that hangs from his dead face. Soon enough the Scion will arrive to lead us into battle. He will reward those who stand with him. Lore increases by 1. Okay, well, that's good. All right, so that was the second of his inspirations. Okay, so I'm gonna, I'm gonna save these. So I'm just gonna have him stay there then, and I'm gonna have my boy Gimli go here, and that's one of his movement, unfortunately, and then interact with that guy. And actually, I can interact with him and then move on to something else. I'm gonna interact with him. Okay, why are all these people outside the city? Okay. The armies of Anor still serve the High King and accept the lie of the gift of men, the knight says. The Scion was ejected after he took up arms, and those of us who were faithful followed. Our leader refused to relent. He continued to rage against the High King until he was brought low by a traitor's arrow. Scout 1. Okay, so Scout 1 is useful because not only am I going to Scout 1, but I can actually scout 2 more because of my book Tome of Battles. So I'm going to scout 3. 2, 3. Let's see. Ready defense, ready defense. Or Coney Foot. No, I actually like what I've got. So it was not the most useful scout. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm super excited to hopefully see it live, but if not, see the video. So they've got you in prime time for Goose Game, man. Okay, so we got that. So that was his movement. And what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to move Gimli 1 extra space into here. Because remember, he can move 2 on 1 move action. And he can move, interact, and then move. So I moved, I interacted, and then have his other space of his second move action. The reason is that Aragorn, he's almost out of options. So Aragorn's going to talk to this dude next turn. And then Gimli is going to move on to deal with that threat. And they're still nearby each other, so it's safe to do that. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to end the action phase. Here goes the shadow phase. Okay, each hero in darkness suffers 2 fear. Again, every space is in darkness. So we have to test its spirit, which negates. Aragorn has only got 2 spirit. But fortunately, he can resist both of them. Actually, you know what? I will save my inspiration because I have Unyielding Spirit, which allows me to get a free one of those successes. So that is what I'm going to do. That way I get to save my inspiration so he takes no fear. And now we have Gimli taking fear. That's good, man. How long do you have for the run? Like, how long are they giving you for the slot? 1. Okay, so Gimli. 1, 2. He has 4 spirits, so this should be pretty easy. 4, yeah. 3 successes, no problem. So he's good. No damage of fear there at all. But I mean, your slot is only a half hour. Shadow deepens. Threat increases by 5, which means we hit that milestone, which is a problem. Okay. The rattle of armored footfalls echoes in the dark. Between each step comes the creak and snap of old dry bone forced into motion by unnatural means. A wight steps to the edge of your firelight, wearing a helm that is adorned with a prince's crown. A broken arrow protrudes from the helm. "The living are not welcome in my city," the scion says. "Dead reigns there now, and the dead are my subjects. There is nothing for you." Arnor faces a dangerous enemy. Oh, based on what you submit as your own estimates? Oh, okay. "What enemy?" The wight's gaze bores into you, the cold glow of his eyes piercing. "Ah, there is only one thing in Annúminas the living would desire any longer. Naheliar. It is called the Mirror of Spirits, and it, like everything that belonged to the kings of Anor, belongs to me." Okay. The wight closes a skeletal fist against the rusted breastplate of his armor. "I was of the royal bloodline of Arnor, but denied the throne in life because I rejected the despised gift of men." His bones rattle as he spreads his arms wide. "But being denied that gift has made me the king of Arnor far longer than any other, so what gift can mortality truly be?" "It is time to eject the living from my domain." The scion hefts his sword. "And after my blade has tasted blood, we shall overcome this city gate as well." Spawn 1 wight is indicated. This is the scion. He has no intention of letting you into Annúminas, the domain he's claimed for himself. Well, crap. I wish I'd gotten that knight out of the way first. Okay, so we have a knight who showed up in this mist. Now, I've never fought a wight in this game, so this is going to be interesting. This is cool. Check it out. All right, get some sleep, Shatter. I hope. Good luck tomorrow, man. I'll try to stop by if I can. And thanks, dude. Honk. All right, guys. This is the wight. If I can ever freaking... There we go. There's the wight. Oh, right. So the day after tomorrow. Sorry. Good luck the day after tomorrow. That's what I meant. Enjoy yourself tomorrow then, man. Okay. Lovely. Okay. So, we got to deal with that wight. Oh, yeah, the knight is still here, damn it. I want to get rid of him. As his would-be knight king prepares for battle, the knight slides into another corpse. Damn it. He hefts a rusted sword, this one's solid metal, and points it in your direction. Even a corporeal form, the knight seems to feel the effects of the injury you dealt him. Place 1 wight as indicated, then discard this person token. Okay, well, he took damage. That's good. So that attack that I made against him worked. Oh, we got another follow bot. Very exciting. Oh, 2 follow bots. All right. Uh-oh. I don't know if we have do we have Burner or Chatter probably is not left already? Okay. Goodbye, Broseph. And goodbye. Goodbye, bots. Follower bots. Okay, so we have one more white. So we have a second white. Yeah, I heard that they've been starting to show up in the last week or so. Oh, I didn't know if you were still here, Burner. Mega Band. Chatty doing its work. Okay. That second white is right here, unfortunately. See, I almost got rid of this dude. I almost got clear of him, but I couldn't quite do it before the Scion showed up. So, oh well. No big deal. Just have to deal with 2 creatures of the undead. The scout grips. Ah, but she is not. Yes, however, she is not going to fight for the Scion. Because, remember, I spoke to her and we managed to get her on our side. So the scout is not hanging with us, and the orator is also gone. So she grips the broken arrow in her hand tighter and backs up toward the edge of the forest. The remaining Wraith guards... Come on. The remaining Wraith guards close ranks to protect the gate from the Scion's allies. Perhaps they could be convinced to help you win the battle. I'll buy that. Okay. The Scion has arrived, and he seems intent upon entering Annúminas in defiance of an ancient decree. He sees no place for the living in his realm. As the Wraiths following him flood towards the gate of Annúminas, you have little choice but to defend yourself. Final objective, defeat the Scion. So if we defeat the Scion, we win the objective. Basically, we win the round. I think they're different artists, actually, Varney. That's a good question. I need to look. I don't know. I think there might be different artists, though. I think it says... TM license. No, it doesn't have a list of who is on there. I have to check and see. I don't know if it's one or not, but the art does look great. And it's been used, some of the art is used for also Fantasy Flight's living card game as well. So there's that too. Okay, rally phase. Now my question is, do I deal, since I have to just defeat the Scion, my question is, can I deal with the threat token to get them to help in the fight? And what about that other Wraith? That's the other question. I mean, I'm in pretty good shape. I'm maxed inspirations on both of the heroes. I have a Determined sitting with Aragorn. I have an Undying Might. I've got only 1 fear on him. With Gimli, I've got I still have 1 thing left on my Tome of Battles. I've got 4 prepared skills. I have max inspiration on him also, and I've only got 1 damage, so this looks fairly good, but I don't know. I mean, I've never, as I say, I've never fought a white in this game, so I don't know how badass he is. I mean, I can see that both of them are elite enemies, so they both got abilities of some kind, but I'm glad I decided to back the Scion, back the High King. This is a really interesting scenario, actually. This whole thing is about deciding which kind of group of ghosts you want to support, I guess, and then ultimately doing it all so that you can get access to the city. Okay, so Scout 3 instead of 4. 2, 3. So, Dwarf Friend, but oh, and actually, that's true. I don't have the Dwarf Friend trait at the moment. So, I'm going to do that. I have the dwarf trait because during my turn you may remove this skill from the adventure for you and another dwarf to become emboldened, which is really useful in combat. So that's actually really good. And then I'm going to place success on top of my inspiration. So I have a minimum of 2 successes sitting right there that I already know about. And then we've got our boy Gimli, who is about to do some work. Mr. Gimli. See, now I kind of wish that I had kept him in that spot, that space, because it means that I can't unless I manage to figure out something with Aragorn, it means that I can't get Gimli to the combat, which is unfortunate. I mean, I can get him, I mean, not this turn. Well, I can get him, but I can only get one attack in. Whereas if I had been on that space, I could have attacked the white twice, which would have been better. But I didn't know that the Scion was coming this soon. I thought I had a little bit more time, so. But anyway, not a big deal. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. When you interact with a person, you gain an inspiration. That's Poet's Heart. Also, you can rest, which allows you to discard at the end of the turn, to discard 2 face down, fear, or damage. So...
Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Oh,
Thundercat!
thank you, Rob. Thank you, boss. I appreciate that, man. I don't know whether I want to use any of these is the problem. Yeah, I feel like this isn't as useful as what I have, so I'm just going to take that. Or you go. Yeah, I don't understand this. My volume on this is down to like 11. I don't know why it's so loud. I have no idea. Like my desktop, I don't understand why it's that loud. It doesn't do this on my desktop computer, so I don't know why it's this loud. I'm sorry. Like it's not that, like I have my volume way down on my laptop. I don't know what it is. It's because I left the Arv cave. Yeah, which is true. I left the Arv cave upstairs and that's what caused it. All right, let's take on some whites, shall we? So now the question is, do I have Aragorn deal with this white? Okay. Oh, and actually, shoot. I messed up because I didn't put the banners up. Okay, that's the Scion. All right, so the Scion... Wow. Okay, the Scion is a badass, as you guys are about to see. Thanks for the resub, Rob. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, exactly, right? Okay. So we're looking at gray. These remind me a little bit of the Banner Sagas things that you can do. What is that? Gray? What's the other one there? Some like monster face thing. That one, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's this guy. And the other one is this gray, like a flame. I think it's actually, yeah, it's that one. Okay. And that's the Scion. Oh, nice. Are you playing Iceborne, Rob? Did you get Iceborne yet? And did you see the controversy, incidentally, Rob, about the PC Gamer review that was basically talking about how the Monster Hunter, it's really good, but what it does is makes people, like, it sort of demonstrates conclusively how, like, it's empty because you're just killing monsters. And a lot. So the problem was it was kind of a silly, in the way it's a silly argument, but then you get the incredibly toxic people being like, never write a review again, you're stupid. And I was like, great, that's really helpful, guys. Okay, so the Scion is royal armor and is terrifying. That's great. And then this white has 3 sorcery, which I guess protects against attack, 1 armor, and then also, yeah, extra armor. So, okay. Because you're nuts. Oh my god, Rob, that's funny. Okay. So I have to decide what I'm going to deal with here. Yeah, it was weird. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it seems a little silly. Okay, I'm going to have Aragorn attack first. And the reason that I'm going to do that is that this allows me to do this. So the way this works is... Okay, so I'm going to use Aragorn's dwarf friend. I can remove this skill from the adventure for me and another dwarf to become emboldened. So you might say to yourself, Arv, why exactly is emboldened matter? Who cares about being emboldened? I'm glad you asked. Because... I also would like to know where... Okay, there we go. I'm glad you asked why emboldened. Thank you, Firesnake. The reason emboldened matters is because emboldened is a boon that allows you Emboldened allows you to, at the end of your turn, blah, 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 if you suffer damage or fear, you discard this boon. When you attack, add 2 hits. And you keep it so long as you are in a space or next to enemies. So this is just 2 automatic hits. Now, hits are not successes, but still, hits are hits. And each one of them now, because of that little title that I just discarded, gets that. So that's really useful. It's not successes, it's hits, but it's still good. Oh, yeah? Right, exactly. That's it's like, and this is the thing that bothers me when people review like epic fantasy, and then part of what they say is we don't like epic fantasy, but blah blah blah. I'm like, please don't review something that you already don't like the genre of. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, okay. Right. So I'm gonna have Aragorn. So he did that. So that was the beginning of his turn. Now he's going to attack. I'm going to try to have him take out this white because Gimli is going to have to do the heavy lifting on the other guy. So I'm going to have him try to deal with this white. Now this white is kind of a badass, as you can see, but he's not as much of a badass because I hit him in that combat before. Why does this keep happening? Stop dropping off the table, stupid little cards. Stop doing that. Okay. Yeah, it seems kind of silly. Well, they said, I mean, basically the argument was it's a good game. It's just it showed me how much it's useless or something. And I'm like, okay. So 6, 3, and 1. So basically you have to do a lot of damage to get through that. So we basically need 10 hits. Now I just want to confirm that I'm right about the sorcery. The 1 is armor. So that armor has been cut down. That's what that hit did. Otherwise I would have had to deal more with armor. Because otherwise I would have had some of that. So... yeah, so first you apply to armor, then you apply. So the 3 is sorcery. So basically it's another buffer. So first you damage the armor, then you damage the sorcery, then you damage the creature. So that's why we need mega hits on this thing. So we're going to have Aragorn come all the way through, and he's got, remember, those 3 hits. So he's got 2 extra hits to begin with. So he's got 2 hits, but that's just hits. We also need successes. It's like a magical shield, exactly. So we're going to test might. He has 3 might, and notice, please... when you test might, you may discard this skill to add 1 success. So I'm going to do that. So I have 1 success. Now I test. 2 successes. Okay, 2 successes so far. So 1. Now, 2, 3. So that's 1, 2, 3 successes because of the discard. So 1, 2, 3. And this is inspiration. So that is, and I only need actually 3 successes, so I don't even need to use my inspiration. So 3 successes is the maximum of what I can do. 3 successes plus 2 hits. So now if we look at this, hey, what's up, Coven? No, I did not see that. That's cool. So now I get to use 3 successes. I get to use each of those lines. So that's 8 hits, right? 8 hits plus 2 means 10 hits. And as it happens, that 10 hits, I believe, is exactly... oh, interesting, Esterma. That 10 hits is exactly what I'm going to need. So, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10. Exactly what I needed was 10 hits. You call shenanigans. You saw it. It's exactly what I need. All completely legit. But having emboldened if I wasn't emboldened, I wouldn't have had enough. So that allows me to remove a white, which is good. I don't have any inspiration to gather because I'm maxed out. But that's exactly what I wanted to have happen, was to take him out. Now I can actually use my sprint. So I can use my sprint here. See? I can discard it to move a space, so I can move in here. Now, actually, wait a second. Do I want to do that? No, you know what? Because I don't want to fight the Scion in Mist. That's a bad idea. So I'm going to use this sprint instead to go here, and I'm going to search. So I'm going to go there, and I'm going to search. Okay. I'm going to search there. There's one search token over there. Skeletal remains ranged around the ash of a fire that wore out long ago. So let's search. The remain, and I'm able to do this because I got that free movement with my sprint. With my sprint phone plan. Okay. Come on, there we go. The remains here have surely been here for many years, not nearly as long as Animus has been abandoned. They must belong to travelers like yourself coming to the city for fortune or glory. They did not meet a good end. So I test Spirit. Now, Spirit's not great for me. That's not my strongest skill. But I do have my Determined, so it's one of those cumulative things, so I don't know. We'll see. But, look at this. I just saw this. It just, exactly, much better than AT&T card. On Gimli, remember Gimli's in the same space, right? On the same space over there. So Gimli has kinship, and it says before a nearby hero tests, you may discard this skill for that hero to reveal 2 additional cards. And if they're a dwarf, you may scout 1. Now, unfortunately, I don't count as a dwarf for this because my scepter is gone and my dwarf friend is gone, so I don't count as a dwarf. But still, I get to use this as 4. I get to draw 4 cards instead of 2. So that's pretty sweet. So 1, that's a fail, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to use Determined to get rid of that one card that didn't do anything and draw another. 4. There's 4. So now I'm going to use, I don't want to use all my inspirations, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 3 of them. I'm going to use 3 of my inspiration to search with that many. And I'm going to hope that that's enough. Okay. Because I don't want to use all my inspiration. Okay. Swallowing your anxiousness about the macabre scene, you rummage through the remains of the traveler's packs. You find a few small things still intact enough to be useful to you. Either place 1 additional token on an equipped non-food item or scout 1. I will happily do that. Scout 1, huh? Do I scout or do I place an extra one? Except I don't have an equipped. I wonder what happens when something is depleted. Can I undeplete? Because then I could use my scepter again. Okay, I do. So that's useful. So that means that I'm able to, so this scepter, which was flipped over, I get to flip back now. And that means I now have 1 depletion token left on this thing, which allows me to be elf, dwarf, and hobbit, and gain inspiration when I interact with a person token. So that's actually useful for that. There may yet be useful hidden items hidden among the remains. Oh, okay. So there's still useful items left. That's interesting. Okay, so that means there's stuff still left. So that means, so he's used his sprint, so his turn's over. So, and there's no nearby enemies, so Emboldened is gone. That's okay, though. Alright, so it's up to Gimli now. I wanted him to deal with the threat token, but I want to make sure that there's other stuff with searching. So I'm going to have Gimli search. Okay. And he, of course, has 4 spirit to begin with. So that's super useful for him to do that. Okay. 1 success. 2. And again, these are cumulative. 3 and 4. I'm going to use 1 inspiration just to be sure. So that means I've got 3 successes. And since I already had a bunch of successes from Aragorn, that means that should take care of the rest of them. Confirm. Okay. You have what you can find of use, but the rest is too old and decayed to be worth carrying with you. At last you come upon a small journal. Flipping through it, you judge the information to be rather a banal account of wandering the shores of Lake Evendim, hunting mostly. Still, this gives these old bones a voice. You just hope you will not meet the same fate. Lore increases by 1, then discard the search token. Okay. Well, I mean, I'll take the lore. That's not really helpful right now, but it'll be useful down the line. Okay, and then the last thing is to move. Now, so, yeah, the problem now is... I did see that. Yeah, I'm glad, man. I'm glad that you're able to get the refill. God, that no insurance is so brutal. And I know you've been dealing with other health stuff, so I'm sorry to hear that, man. But I mean, I am glad that you got the inhaler for sure. Do you know how good that's for? My wife had asthma, but has not had to use inhalers for a long time. Do you know how much it works, or? So here's my question now, chat, that I have to decide. So if you can see over here, this thing right here. Okay, this thing right here is in mist. There's a threat token there. So the problem I have now is if I move Gimli down to that spot, it means he's in the mist, which means if the white attacks him, then the white is going to be able to, like, get serious damage potentially done against him. So I think I'm probably just gonna... not move. I think I'm gonna use up... I'm not gonna use another action, I think. Because I can either travel, attack, or interact. I don't think I'm gonna... Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do any of those things. That's maybe the first time I've ever not used a move. But I think I'm gonna do that. And he also is no longer emboldened, because there is no hero near him. I wish you could just keep up the emboldened. Just be like, I will be emboldened again. Okay. Hold your ground is the right move, but moving is the best move. Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry about the tremors, but man, asthma is so brutal, man. Okay. But I'm glad that you got something which helps you in those emergency situations, though, you know, so. Okay. So. Also, did I just use something before? No, I don't think I did. Okay. All right, so. All right, I'm gonna just leave him there. Because I want the white to fight us on our terms, so. Okay. Confirm. Shadow phase. Here we go. Move 1. Attack Gimli or closest hero. Can't do that. So the creak and whisper of the white stride follows you wherever you hide. Move 2 spaces towards the closest hero. Okay, see, this is exactly why I wanted to do this. Okay, so now he's right on the same space. So now it's all about attacking. So we got to deal with this darkness step, and then it's just full out attack. Full out assault. Okay, so darkness, first of all. And Spirit negates, so we'll do Aragorn first. He starts with a Misled, which is a bad time to come up with that, and this one. So he can use one inspiration, but he's not going to do it because he needs to focus his attention on the white. So, because he needs to save his inspiration. So that means that he is going to take 2 fear. He has an upper limit of 6, so he still can take 2 more before he ran into that, but still. Okay, and then Gimli. Gimli is all about that spirit, so he should be okay on this one. 2. I'd like some successes though. 4. Okay, 1 success. I'm going to have him take that other fear because I don't want him to oh, actually, you know what? I can use my ready defense to guard. I forgot about that. I can use my ready defense to guard, which means that he will not get those 2 fear. He will take the fear himself. And because he did that, my Dunedain banner means that when someone guards, one of us gains an inspiration. So that means that Aragorn is going to get an inspiration and only has still just the 1 fear. And Gimli has 1 fear, and that was good. Okay, so now, where was I? 1, 2, 3, 4. So he has the 1 fear, right, okay. And he used the other success, so he's good. Oh god, that's awful. Would insurance have made it that you could have gone to do things that would not allow you to deal with that, Coven? Like preventative measures, and you haven't been able to explore them because of an insurance thing? Or not, I'm just curious. Okay, that was the darkness step. Okay, the threat deepens, threat increases by 5. Okay, that's fine. So we're 30 out of 55. Okay, so now we reset in Scout 2, and we get ready for a big old battle. Alright, so we're going to try to just, like, lay it all on the line here. We're going to have Gimli come in first, because Gimli's the one who's going to do most of the damage here, at least a good portion of it. And he can tank the guy's response. Yeah, if you get to the end of the bar, you just lose. Now, one of the interesting things is that supposedly when you lose scenarios, not all scenarios cause you to... Like, the adventure can still continue, but there are penalties. So you sort of, like, run the cost. Like, there was an earlier part of this where I chose this path instead of another path, which is why I ended up here instead of somewhere else. But that could also have been affected, which I think is interesting. So, preventive medication is $12 a month with insurance. That was great. Are you not eligible for Obamacare, Coven? You can't get the ACA? I mean, again, the idea that we are the richest country in the world and that people are not able to have insurance is so frustrating to me. I just, ugh. Okay, so Scout 2, Scout 3. It doesn't cover the Formoterol prescription? Oh, great. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. Okay, so, after you attack, you may, okay, this is going to be very useful. Normally I would take this because I have 2 successes there, but in this case I'm going to do it differently, and I'll tell you why. Right, there you go, Sturman. So here's why I'm doing this. Because this lead the charge thing says, when after you attack, you may discard this skill to gain 1 inspiration and for a nearby hero to also attack. So what that means is that Gimli will get another free attack off of this. So Gimli will attack, and then Aragorn will attack, and Gimli will get another attack on that white. So that's against the Scion. So that's why that's so useful. Yeah. And it's a card that, again, it's situational. One of the things I like about this game is the fact that it's strategic, sometimes more than tactical, in that you have to adjust to the cards you get. Coven will understand this with Slay the Spire. You know, you can make different decisions about the value of a card based on the situation you're in. And so in this particular case, you know, that's a good situation to be in. And as I say, this is a battle map. The journey map actually has you putting all these extra map tiles together and stuff. So this is just the battle map, which is just like, because of the location, which is just outside the city. Okay, here we go. So Gimli, 1, 2, and 3. Oh my gosh, lots of successes. And I think I already see what I'm going to get. This is On the Hunt. And it is once per turn before you or a nearby hero attacks, that hero gains 1 inspiration. So we're going to be getting inspirations leading into this. That's very clutch. And then these other ones are 2 successes, and they will go on the top. Okay. So there we go. We have scouted 2. It's the action phase. So we're going to start with Gimli. So Gimli, who is on the hunt, is going to get an inspiration before he attacks, which he just got. And now he is going to attack with full fury and anger. They really do, yeah. Yeah, he's a piece of garbage, is Terma. I don't blame you. I mean, I understand. Okay, 4 might here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. That is pretty sweet because all of those count as successes. So I have 2 successes, and I have 2 fates, and I can use inspiration for each of those 2 fates. So I have 4 successes, which means I get the full mega hit, right? And I could even actually strike 2. So strike 2 means that I could actually add 2 more hits to it, except then I get rid of this card, which I don't think I want to do. So, but anyway, let's see. Let's see how much that does. So this guy is a badass, as you'll be able to see. So he's got 13 health, 3 sorcery, and 2 armor. So what he has in terms of bonuses is gains extra health and armor. When this group attacks, its fear is increased. Okay, well, guess what, Broseph? So 18, basically we'd have to do 18 hits, which is a lot. However, we do have Sunder. Now the good thing about Sunder is that it's going to cut through one of those points of armor permanently. So because we just got the maximum on this with his Iron Hills Battle Axe here, he's got 3 hits, 2 hits, and Sunder. So he's got 11 hits plus Sunder. 11 hits plus Sunder means that that'll be that much less damage he has to do the second time around. So like I said, these guys are pretty serious with combat. So Sunder, and then that takes care of that 1 armor. Oh, god damn it. Let's try that again. Sunder, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 11 hits and Sunder. So that did a lot of damage. Okay, now the enemy can attack, unfortunately. A creature grips a blackened sword and 1 sinewy hand. So that's 1 damage and 3 fear, might negates. Okay. So, fortunately I don't have any guard here. So, yeah, well, I mean, that you can do a lot of damage here, which is useful. Okay, so might negates. 1, 2, 3, that's useless. 4. Okay, so problem is I don't want to use up my inspirations on this. So I'm going to take 1 success here, which will be the 1 success will be one of the fears. And so I'll take 1 and then I don't want to use my inspiration. So 1 damage and 2 fear. 1 damage, 2 fear. So he's up to 3 fear now and 2 damage, which is, you know, still okay, but starting to be problematic. But that was his counterattack. Now, normally when an enemy counterattacks, it normally means that the enemy is not able to counterattack again. But because this is an elite enemy, they can counterattack any number of times. Okay, now Gimli is going to make his second attack. That was all 1 attack. Now Gimli is going to make his second attack. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's useless. And we have 1 success, and 1 more is 2. So that's 6 hits. Okay, so here's his inspiration. 6 hits. Man, Gimli's going to one-man this instance. Okay, 6 hits. So... But he's still got all this sorcery to get through, unfortunately, so that kind of sucks. But so do I use strike now? Because that would give me 8 hits. Yeah, I'm going to use... No, I'm not going to use that. So I'm going to take the 6 hits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, and 6. Okay, so now he's down to 4 health. The enemy can attack. Oh, that's really nice, Isterma. That's really useful. I mean, thank you, man. Good people working in that environment is really important. Okay, so the enemy can attack. Monster grips something else. Blackened Sword 1 sinewy hand will negates. He's trying to create more fear. Now this is going to be a problem. I got to defend against this because this could actually be a real issue. So 1, that's terrible. 2, that's a success. That's terrible. That's awful. Okay, that was 1 success. And the rest is, so I'm going to take 2 fear. Ah, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's really bad. It's really, really bad. Really bad. Oh, crap. 5 fear. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that sucks. That sucks. Okay. A placebo can be effective even if it's placebo. I did not actually know that, and that's actually pretty cool. Okay, so because that happened, what that means is that my fear is now up to 5, and what that means is I have to do a last stand with Gimli. So the way we do that is we click on this, and we have a last stand that Gimli has to perform. This is a fear last stand. If you dig deep, there might be an answer to your troubles. Test 1 wisdom. Okay, so I have wisdom, which is only 2. Let's see. Two wisdom. Woo! Wow, look at that, folks. I needed a 1 success. This was the first one I got, which was my screwed up, you know, the weakness that doesn't help me. But I got 1 success with the other one, and I didn't have any inspirations left. So I pass. Just barely pass. Now the good news about that is that when that happens, I discard all face-down fear, so it's all gone. I gain an inspiration, and I continue. The next time, the last stand becomes harder the next time. Then I have to pass 2 next time. But that was really scary. That was really scary. In fact, I don't even know necessarily... Oh, actually, he has all his fear gone, so I do want to do that. Okay. So now that was both of Gimli's attacks. So now it's Aragorn's turn. I'd have to... Well, this is... I've really been having a ton of fun with this Coven. I mean, I'd have to think about it. Talisman is great, is my favorite still. Runebound is great. I like Stuffed Fables. I'd need to play more of this before I give you an answer to that. Definitely top 10. But that's only because I haven't played it, you know, long enough to say. But I've already played. This is my 8th scenario. I really have been enjoying it a lot. I mean, it's rapidly heading towards my top 5. Okay, so now we're going to have the Scion is going to be attacked by Aragorn. Now again, this is what he's down to. He's still got his stupid sorcery. So he's got 1 armor, 3 sorcery, and 4 hits. So he basically need to do 8 damage to him. No, I have not. This is the first time I'm playing this. I mean, I've played 7. This is the 8th scenario. I've played the previous 7 with these 2 characters and with nobody else. So I'm just waiting for this. You know, I think there's like 11 in this main campaign, and then there's the expansion. So, okay. Aragorn is going to test might. Let's go, Aragorn. Damage, success, success, and that which is a success. 3 successes, because I'm using inspiration. And that means that we're going to get 8 hits in on this dude. Yeah. 8 hits, which is going to be enough. Look, we're going to do it. 8 hits will be enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And he is dead. Apply. Confirm. Suck it, Scion. Come on. Remove the Scion. You or a nearby hero gain 1 inspiration. I know, exactly, right? It's amazing how often that happens, honestly. Okay, I'm going to give another inspiration to Gimli, I think. Okay, the white is gone. The Scion is dead. Ding dong, the Scion is dead. God, I don't know. I would assume you could certainly bruise it. Okay. The white, who once aspired to the throne of Arnor, falls to his knees. No, this cannot be. I have been freed from the doom of man. The unearthly light leaves his eyes, and the empty corpse topples to the earth. Welcome to your gift, sir. The traitor prince falls once more, calls one of the dead guards stepping up alongside you. Yet this is not your battle. Speak, you whose heart still beats, and tell me what you seek in this city. You explain why you have come to Annúminas. We have all heard of the Mirror of Spirits, Naelar, one guard says. Long ago, the king bound us to this solemn duty, using its power, for whoever commands the mirror commands the spirits. It may yet still be in the city, and for your help we will open the gate. At the Wraith's behest, the long-closed gate opens slowly, just enough to allow you inside. The heroes win. You have defeated the Scion and gained entrance into Annúminas. Lore increases by 3. Each hero gains 4 experience. Sweet. And now you can see the threat going down, and that's it. So we won the scenario, and now we're on to the Mirror of Spirits. But what I am going to do before I finish up with that is I'm going to continue so you can see what the leveling up looks like. So here's what it says the next one's going to be. Within the ruins of Annúminas lies Naliar, a mirror said to allow the user to communicate with the dead, and the last component of Atarn's plot against the peoples of Eriador. The wraiths you have encountered thus far are likely just the beginning of your trials here. The next adventure will be a journey map. Warning, losing this adventure will end the campaign. Oh, wow. Okay. So I haven't... you save before each adventure, but that's interesting. That's the first time I've seen that. So it's getting real. Okay, here we go. Now, here's the cool part. So now this is the camp screen before the next campaign. So you can see, first of all, that we have Lore 54. And you can see that that little thing, items, is shining, which means we can level up some items. So let's see what we can level up here. Okay, we can level up our Breland rations, which I actually didn't bring with me. You can only take 1 trinket with you on a journey per hero, so I left the Breland rations behind. But you can actually increase that up to either the Tookish apple cakes or the Butterbur biscuits. So let's see what those are. So let's see what we've got. The Tookish apple cakes or the Butterbur biscuits, huh? Okay, here we go. So the Tookish apple cakes or the Butterbur biscuits. All right, it says here that, so here's the Tookish apple cakes. At the start of the rally phase, you may deplete this item for heroes in your space to collectively discard up to 2 damage and fear. And fear. Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, and then this one is the Butterbur biscuits. At the start of the rally phase, you may deplete this item for a hero in your space to become determined and discard up to 2 damage and fear. Yeah, I think the other one's better, actually. All right, I think I'm going to upgrade this. Oh my god, that's terrible, Govin. Tookish apple cakes. I will... Dark Punch, this is a... this is an adventure game where you were exploring Middle-earth. and engaged in this sort of campaign. You're doing this adventure, and there's this whole big story invested in it. You can get different campaigns, and the pieces are sort of assembled and controlled by an app which you run on your phone or your tablet or your computer. The app is free, and yeah, it's like a board game mixed with an app with adventure stuff. Last time you saw a lot of people, there was like interaction with wraiths, so you had to like talk with them and make decisions, and then there was also combat, and so yeah, really cool game, especially if you like Middle Earth at all. Okay, so we're going to expand our Breland rations, and this is the second time this has been expanded. So you're just getting into board games after oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that you're leaving D&D though. I'm a big D&D fan, and I do a lot of it on my channel. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, we got the Tookish apple cakes. I still think this is probably not as good as the other stuff that I have, but it's getting there. There's the other things that I've already got equipped. Okay, so we've got that, so that's cool. You're on a quest to make the orc roux. Oh, I gotcha. I mean, I really enjoy this game. It's cooperative. It's fully cooperative. And so I really, you can play solo as I've been doing or otherwise. So I've been, very much enjoying it quite a bit. So do you mean originally, where do the elves come from, Coven? Because like they are actually created here. No, no, they go over to cross out of the Grey Havens and go into the land beyond. But when they were originally created, they're actually created in Middle Earth, where they're sort of the firstborn and they kind of wander around Middle Earth. But then eventually, yeah, they can go via the Grey Havens to go over to what is essentially their heaven, basically. Okay. So, cool. So I got that. So that allows me to upgrade this. So I'm going to upgrade this to the Tookish apple cakes. Bilbo goes there too, as does Frodo. And eventually Sam, although people don't really think about that, but Sam also bore the ring, and thus he also goes there eventually. Okay, so we're going to confirm it. So the Breland rations now became the Tookish apple cakes. I can't upgrade anything else yet of the items. However, I also have this that I can do, this experience. So I've got these different things. Right now I don't have any experience to get anything else necessarily that I would want. There we go. But in here I do. So I could take a look and see. So if you like deck builders, I mean, like this is a game that is literally a deck builder, because your individual heroes each get their own individual decks, and based upon the role that they play, whether they're going to be a guardian, a hunter, a pathfinder, or whatever, and they can change those roles from adventure to adventure, so they can build up experience in one role, and then the next adventure build up experience in another role, and thus you can kind of shape your deck that way. So there's a lot of deck building kind of going this way. True, although in fairness, Coven, Sam also carries it by far the least amount of time. So don't forget that. I mean, yeah, exactly what Firesnake just said. I mean, Sam barely has it, right? Frodo has it for a very long, quite a while, and of course Bilbo has it for that long. In fairness, Bilbo really is the one who gives up, after that many decades that he had it. And yes, he carried it very close to Mordor. Sure, agree. So I mentioned this before, but I'll just sort of mention this again. So you can see these skills. So the cool thing about this system is that you can turn in one skill to get a higher skill. So for example, I could turn in Word of Warning. And once I turn that in, it means I now have a grand total of, if this will focus for me, 8 experience points that I can use for those. So let's say what we could buy for 8. Slugfest is good stuff. Yeah, I definitely, Slugfest is a good company. Okay. All right, where are we? No. Okay, we're going to look for, what was it here? Pathfinder, right. Okay, so a shortcut when an enemy moves into a space. No, that's not it. Here we go. Find a way. Is there find a way? Yes. Before you sprint with this skill, choose to become determined, gain an inspiration, or scout 1. Yeah, that's interesting actually, and it's another fate card. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do find a way. So I'm going to click on that. So that means I then turn in my Word of Warning card, which was useful, but that's what I love about it. You're not locked in. It's basically like you're allowed to, if you think about it like a video game, you're allowed to respec for free, basically. Okay, where's my Word of Warning at? Still, though, that was I mean, I was in a world of hurt there. If Gimli, I could have very easily lost that if Gimli had lost that that, what do you call it, the Last Stand, and that's the second Last Stand that I've done so far in this game. The other one I passed pretty easily. This one was shaky. This was pretty close. I almost pushed it too far. Yeah, Pandemic is definitely solid for sure. Okay, so now we have that, and we have Find a Way. So now basically we've upgraded, and again, you can also, the nice thing about that is that you can shape it basically as you want to, right? You can sort of shape your deck in the way that you'd like it to sort of work the best for you. And with the combination of roles and characters, like I obviously am comboing a lot off of Aragorn and Gimli, which I really like, but you could play other characters. Legolas and Gimli obviously combo off each other quite a bit. The musician is able to sort of do some of that. Bilbo with his burglary skill, so... Shut up, Wesley. Yeah, Tabletop's good series, yep. Okay, so we took care of that. So now he's pretty much used up on his experience. He has no experience left with Captain and 1 with Pathfinder, so that's good. Okay, and then we're going to check out our boy Gimli. We're going to look at his hunter skill. Okay, so he's got 4, so he can now pick up one of those extra 3, which are Resourceful, Coordinated Strike, or Quick Snare. So let's see whether any of those seem like they're worth it, because you might as well pick it up since we can always trade it back after the next adventure. Also, these skill cards, you have both cards for your role, but also you have cards for your own specific person. So specific people have different abilities too. Legolas as opposed to Gimli as opposed to others. Okay, where's my hunter at? I need Hunter. Give me Hunter. No, I don't need Pathfinder. I need Hunter. Show me Hunter. There we go. Okay, so I could get Coordinated Strike or Resourceful or Quick Snare. Okay, Resourceful means when you prepare the skill, gain an inspiration. Okay, I already have one of those. I can get another one. Coordinated Strike. Before you strike with the skill, if there's another hero in your target space, add a modifier of your choice to the attack. Okay, so it's like flanking is what that is. And then Quick Snare, before you strike with this skill, add stun to the attack. So you could stun them to keep them from striking back against you. I like this coordinated strike idea, actually. I think I'm going to do that. So we're going to add that in there. Okay, so coordinated strike has now been added to the deck. And of course, the other thing to think about is as you add skills, as you add cards, anyone who knows anything about deck building knows that that makes it less likely that you'll get any one particular card. But you do it for a short enough, like, there are not enough cards ultimately in your deck to make it like too diluted, but it does dilute it a little bit, so that's something that you have to think about ultimately. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely, as you can tell, I am a big fan of it, and let's get rid of that stupid weakness. That weakness almost cost me too. That weakness showed up a lot this game, a lot. And you can do it. I mean, this took me about 3.5 hours, basically, but a lot of that was that I was stopping to explain things. If you're just playing through and you're playing with friends or whatever in chat, you do it a lot faster. So, okay, there's that. And then the last thing we do, because we're done now, is we save and quit. And I'm actually Chromecasting this right now to my TV so I can see that as well. There we go. And quit. And there it is. Alrighty. So, that is Journeys of Middle-earth, folks. And I'm glad you were all with me as I went through it. I just felt like doing this. I hadn't had a chance to do a lot of the board game stuff, and I do like board games as well. So since I am on break, I was able to do a little bit of an extra bonus stream. So it was a lot of fun. And you can see, as I say, I highly recommend this. And, you know, if Fantasy Flight happens to see this VOD or see me doing this and it's like, hey, we'd like to send you more, you know, games for testing, you know where to find me. But I want to thank everyone for having been awesome. I will be back to you folks tomorrow, whereupon we will have Esper Genesis coming at you, my tabletop game series, which is my space opera game that is going to be Friday evening, and I believe we're starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, although I'll have to check the calendar. And yes, I forgot I have to check my Twitter. Thank you for reminding me. Sorry about that. Okay, hang on a second. I don't see anything on my Twitter. Is Terma? Oh, yeah. I've never played Star Realms. I've heard good things about it, but I've never played it. I don't see anything, Is Terma, on Twitter. Should I be seeing something? Let's disconnect there. And I got to say, this Chromecast, you know, does the job. It really does. It's a good game. Cool. Yeah, it's Terma before. Okay, well, I'll continue with my little peroration as we're talking. So again, I'm going to be back with Esper Genesis at sometime around 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Okay, hold on a second. You just caught the end of it. Yeah, I just finished Alpha Dawn Games. I got to head to bed. Ooh, look at that. I'm giving that a like. Those are some nice pens, man. An instrument from a more civilized age. Those are nice pens, Terma. Good stuff, man. I approve. I am highly in approval. But yes, so there we go. Yeah, thanks, Alpha Dawn Games, but definitely stop by again. So anyway, yeah, but that's going to do it for me. And I hope you folks enjoyed this as much as I did. This was a great time, but I now got to finish packing this away and then get to bed. So I will see you folks tomorrow. Possible that I might be able to do a during the day, like possibly a writing stream, something like that. I have a epic poem that I have to write for someone, and so, you know, we'll see. I may or may not do that, but if not, I'll definitely be back at you folks tomorrow for Esper Genesis, and then of course Saturday for D&D with Curse of Strahd. Don't forget about the ways to support the stream. Don't forget about following the channel. YouTube is !ARVTube, Discord is !ARVCord, Twitter is !ARVTweets. You just saw Coven be nice enough to post all that up there. All of that can be found on my website, arvinellenrun.com. Don't forget, thank you for the follow. Don't forget as well to check out my the financial ways to support !ARV shop for merchandise with all of your favorite Infinity and Beyond and Adventures in Middle-earth with Terry Toons Illustrations gear. So if you like Tolkien, check that out. !ARV is the Patreon, which is sitting right there and makes a big difference. Twitch Prime subs, no additional cost if you have Amazon Prime, that is right. And of course the sub button, sitting at about 82, 83 subs right now as we speak. So that really does make a difference in the channel, so please continue to support there and spread the word if you can. Also check out my graphic novel coming soon, !Icarus, for details about that, where you can pre-order. !Library for details about my D&D Forbidden Library adventure coming out extremely soon. And my Kickstarter, !Greyshade KS, which is my Greyshade Literary Universe Kickstarter, which is coming in March. More details about that coming in the next few weeks. But that's going to do it for me. No raid tonight because I'm doing it on my laptop and I need to get, cracking on putting this stuff away. Thank you to all the wonderful people who are here tonight. We had a solid turnout, especially since I don't usually stream on Thursdays, at least I don't, although sometimes we have class, etc. Thank you to my wonderful mods, to Coven Guy, Backburner, Echo Alpha, Coven Guy and Backburner. Thank you so much. Thank you to my wonderful subscribers as well, Coven Guy. Thank you to Echo Alpha, Terma, Mrs. Dunsel, Otakin, Shadowner, Varney. Thank you as well to my Patreon supporters within that group too. Thank you so much to Alpha Dawn Gamer. Thanks for the follow tonight. Thanks to another TT viewer. Thank you to Aiton, Blaine Wiz, Commander Root, Dark and Wolf 90, Dark Punch 54. And in answer to your question, Dark Punch, if you link your Twitch account to your Amazon, then it means that if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free Prime sub, which you can use on any channel once per month. And we would love to have people use our Twitch Prime subs on us because we think we have pretty cool emotes, and I think we have the best community on Twitch. I've been streaming for a long time, and these folks are a big part of why it's so awesome. So yeah, and we talk games quite a bit on this channel, so you're in the right place for stuff like that. Thank you to Firesnake Aries. Thank you to Garrett. Thank you as well for the follow to Recon06. Thank you very much. Thank you to Garrett. Thank you to Jiza, to Magaza. Thank you to Mubat, I guess. Thank you to Mr. Eridan. Thank you to Mashali. Thank you to Erg of Und. Thank you to PewDiePie Fangirl for being a great bot. Thank you to Poltergeist Zero. Thank you to Shavy. Thank you to you, Christensen. Uncle Elias. What's up, Uncle Elias? Thank you to V&K. Thank you to Virgo Prize. Thank you to Wiley Wade. Thank you to Windsock. Thank you to Shadowed Mage, who was lurking, and I didn't see him at first because he popped back up in the list. Thank you, everybody, so much. I appreciate it. And thank you Dark Punch for the follows as well. Thank you so much, everyone. You guys are great, and I will see you for Esper Genesis Friday right around 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Other than that, everyone, do all the things. Thank you all so much, and I'll catch you all soon. And check out this game, Fantasy Flight. It's expensive, but it's good, and you can get a lot of play out of it. I've really enjoyed playing it this break, so it's good stuff. I'll catch you all soon, and much love all. I will see you all later on tonight. Be good to each other.